The Substitute Vow, a dark romance novel. Prologue, The Exchange. The wedding dress doesn't fit. It's too tight in the shoulders, too loose at the waist, and the hem drags slightly when I walk. My sister's measurements, not mine. Her life, not mine. But tomorrow morning, I'll stand at the altar in this gown and pretend to be Vivian Ashford, the woman Cassian Vale agreed to marry. The woman who ran away 3 days ago. I stare at my reflection in the floor-length mirror of Vivienne's bedroom, this space that still smells like her perfume, something expensive and cloying that makes my throat tight. The dress is ivory silk, deceptively simple with its clean lines and plunging back. Vivienne would have worn it like armor, like proof of her victory. On me it feels like a shroud. Stop fidgeting. My father's voice cuts through the silence. He's standing behind me, his face reflected over my shoulder in the mirror. His expression is carved from stone. No warmth, no apology. Just the cold calculation that's defined every decision he's made since our family business started hemorrhaging money 2 years ago. I'm not fidgeting, but my hands are trembling where they rest against the silk. I force them still. You need to get this right, Ren. He steps closer, and I can smell the whiskey on his breath. He's been drinking more since Vivienne left. Since she destroyed the only lifeline he had left. One mistake, one slip, and this entire arrangement collapses. Do you understand what that means? I understand perfectly. It means bankruptcy. It means losing the Ashford name, the house, everything my family has clung to for 3 generations. It means my mother's tears and my father's fury and the complete annihilation of the illusion we've all been living under. It means I failed them. Again. I understand, I whisper. Cassian Vale is not a forgiving man. My father's hand lands on my shoulder, heavy and cold through the silk. The marriage contract is binding. The merger depends on this union. If he discovers the substitution, he doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't need to. I've read the contract. 73 pages of legal language that essentially sells Vivienne, now me, to Cassian Vale in exchange for his investment in Ashford Industries. Breach of contract results in penalties so severe they border on medieval. My father's creditors are not kind men. Vale's business associates are worse. If I'm discovered, I won't just be embarrassed. I might not survive it. He met Vivienne twice, I say, trying to find solid ground in this nightmare. 6 months ago at the initial negotiations, and then once more at the contract signing. Surely he doesn't. He chose her specifically. My father's reflection meets mine in the mirror, his eyes hard. Out of 3 potential brides from suitable families, he chose Vivienne. He wanted her beauty, her charm, her social connections. Can you provide those things? The question lands like a slap. We both know the answer. I've spent my entire life being compared to my sister and found wanting. Vivienne is the sun. Bright, warm, impossible to ignore. I've always been the shadow, the quiet one. The daughter who preferred books to parties and museums to social climbing. I can try, I say, hating how small my voice sounds. Trying isn't enough. He removes his hand from my shoulder and walks to Vivienne's vanity, picking up a photograph in a silver frame. It's from last year's charity gala. Vivienne in a red dress, laughing at something someone said, radiant and alive. You need to become her. Completely. Do you even know what she likes? How she speaks? The way she moves? I've been studying for 3 days. Vivienne's diary, her emails, her social media accounts that I've been managing since she left. I know she takes her coffee with 2 sugars and almond milk. I know she laughs too loud at unfunny jokes if the right people are watching. I know she's been in love with Julian Harrow since we were teenagers, and that's who she ran away with. To Paris, according to the hastily scrawled note she left on her pillow. I know my sister better than she thinks. I know she's selfish and vain and capable of destroying lives without a second thought. I know she left me to clean up her mess, the way she always does. I know her, I say quietly. Then you know what to do. My father sets down the photograph. The ceremony is at 11. The reception will last until evening. Vale's driver will take you to his penthouse afterward. You'll consummate the marriage. Father, heat floods my face. Don't be naive. His voice is sharp. This is a business arrangement, but it requires certain obligations. Vale will expect a wife. You will be that wife, in every capacity. My stomach turns. I knew this logically. Marriage means intimacy. But hearing my father say it so clinically, as if I'm livestock being delivered to a buyer, makes bile rise in my throat. What if he realizes? The question escapes before I can stop it. What if he notices I'm not her? Then you make sure he doesn't. My father walks to the door, pausing with his hand on the frame. You've always been in her shadow, Ren. Now you get to be her. Most women would consider that an improvement. The door closes behind him with a soft click that sounds like a cell door locking. I turn back to the mirror, studying the woman reflected there. My face is similar enough to Vivienne's. We have the same bone structure, the same heart-shaped face. But where her features are bold and striking, mine are softer, more forgettable. Her eyes are a clear, confident blue. Mine shift between green and gold depending on the light, uncertain even in their color. With the right makeup, the right styling, I can pass for her at a distance. Up close, to a man who chose her specifically, that's different. I think about Cassian Vale, the man I'll marry in less than 12 hours. I've seen photographs, the business profiles that paint him as a ruthless corporate raider, the society pages that show him at galas and benefits, always alone, always distant, dark hair, sharp gray eyes that seem to cut through pretense, a face that would be handsome if it weren't so cold. Vivienne called him the Ice King when she came home from their first meeting. She'd been excited about the match, not because she wanted him, but because she wanted what he represented: power, wealth, status. He barely looked at me during dinner, she'd said, examining her manicure with a pout. Just sat there asking questions about the family business, about father's connections, so boring. I remember thinking that maybe he was nervous. That maybe he was trying to approach the arrangement carefully, professionally. Vivienne had laughed at that suggestion. Men like Cassian Vale don't get nervous, Ren. They take what they want and destroy anything that gets in their way. Now I'm about to become his wife. The thought should terrify me more than it does. But there's something else underneath the fear, something I don't want to examine too closely. Curiosity, maybe. Or the strange, reckless thought that for once in my life, I'll be the center of someone's attention, even if he thinks I'm someone else. I reach up and unpin the veil from my hair, letting it fall to the floor in a whisper of Thule. Tomorrow, I'll wear it. Tomorrow, I'll walk down the aisle in this dress that doesn't fit and these shoes that pinch and this life that was never meant to be mine. Tomorrow, I'll promise to love, honor, and cherish a man who doesn't know my name. But tonight, for just a few more hours, I can still be Ren. I sink down onto the edge of Vivienne's bed, the silk dress pooling around me like spilled milk. Her room is exactly as she left it. Makeup scattered across the vanity, clothes draped over the chair, a half-empty champagne glass on the nightstand with her lipstick print still visible on the rim. She left in a hurry, taking only what she could fit in 2 suitcases. She left me to take her place. My phone buzzes on the nightstand. A message from an unknown number. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. Don't be late. Nax, C. Vale. Short, cold, exactly what I expected from a man who views this marriage as a transaction. I type back a response, my fingers hovering over the keys. What does Vivienne say to her future husband the night before their wedding? Something flirtatious? Something confident? In the end, I just type, I'll be there. His response comes immediately. Good. That's it, 1 word. Then silence. I set the phone down and look at myself in Vivienne's vanity mirror across the room. In the low light, with my hair pinned up the way she wears it, I could almost pass for my sister. Almost. I practice her smile, the one that's all teeth and no warmth, the one she uses when she's getting her way. It feels wrong on my face, like wearing someone else's skin. "I'm Vivienne Ashford," I whisper to my reflection. "I'm confident. I'm charming. I'm exactly who Cassian Vale wants me to be." The words taste like ash. I stand up, carefully stepping out of the wedding dress and hanging it back in the garment bag. Tomorrow it will be real. Tomorrow there's no going back. But tonight, I walk to my own room down the hall, the smaller one, the one that's always been mine. I close the door and lean against it, finally letting myself breathe. On my nightstand is a photograph in a simple wooden frame. Me and Vivienne when we were children, maybe 8 and 6. We're both smiling, my arm around her shoulder. Before everything became complicated. Before I understood that I would always be the spare, the backup, the daughter who only mattered when the favorite one failed. I pick up the photograph and trace the edge of the frame. "I'll do this for you," I whisper to the little girl I used to be, the one who still believed she mattered. "I'll save them. I'll be what they need. Even if it means losing myself completely. Even if it means never being seen for who I really am." I set the photograph down and climb into bed, still wearing Vivienne's perfume, still carrying the weight of her life on my shoulders. Tomorrow I become the bride. Tonight I mourn the woman I'll never get to be. Outside my window the city glitters with 1,000 lights, each one representing someone else's life, someone else's choices. I wonder if Cassian Vale is looking at the same sky right now, thinking about the woman he's about to marry. I wonder if he'd care that she's the wrong one. I close my eyes and practice saying his name in my head, the way a wife should. Cassian. My husband. The man who will own every part of me without ever knowing who I am. And somewhere, buried deep beneath the fear and the resignation, there's a whisper of something dangerous. The thought that maybe, just maybe, being Vivienne isn't the worst thing that could happen to me. Maybe being seen as someone valuable, someone worth choosing, even if it's a lie, maybe that's enough. I fall asleep with that thought, with the wedding dress hanging in my sister's room, with less than 12 hours until I walk down the aisle and seal my fate. Tomorrow, I stop being Wren Ashford. Tomorrow, I become the substitute bride. And tomorrow, Cassian Vale will call me by the wrong name, and I'll have to smile and answer and pretend it doesn't break something inside me every single time. Because that's what good daughters do. They sacrifice. They disappear. They become exactly who they're told to be, even if it kills them. Chapter 1. The Binding. The chapel is smaller than I expected. Vivienne would have hated it. She wanted the cathedral downtown, the one with the soaring ceilings and stained glass windows that would photograph beautifully for the society pages. But Cassian Vale chose this place instead. A private venue with dark wood pews and minimal decoration. Intimate if you're being generous, cold if you're being honest. There are maybe 50 people here, business associates, I assume. Cassian's sister Eleanor sits in the front row, her dark eyes tracking me as I wait in the antechamber. My father stands beside me, his hand gripping my elbow hard enough to bruise. "Remember everything we discussed," he murmurs. "Smile. Don't speak unless spoken to. And for God's sake, don't cry. Vivienne would never cry." He's right. Vivienne would be radiant right now, basking in the attention, in the knowledge that she's landed one of the most powerful men on the East Coast. She wouldn't be standing here with her stomach in knots, her palms sweating inside her white gloves, wondering if she'll make it through the ceremony without being exposed as a fraud. The music starts. Pachelbel's canon in D. Traditional. Safe. "It's time," my father says. The doors open, and suddenly I'm walking down the aisle in a dress that isn't mine, toward a man I've never met, about to make vows I have no right to make. Cassian stands at the altar in a black suit that probably costs more than my childhood home. He's taller than I expected, at least 6'3", with broad shoulders and a presence that seems to pull all the air from the room. His dark hair is perfectly styled, his jaw sharp enough to cut glass. But it's his eyes that stop my breath. Gray, cold, assessing. He watches me approach with the expression of a man evaluating a business acquisition. No warmth, no anticipation. Just a cool, clinical assessment that makes me feel like a specimen under glass. I force myself to keep walking, to keep my chin up the way Vivienne would. To smile like this is the happiest day of my life, instead of the day I disappear. When I reach the altar, my father places my hand in Cassian's. His fingers are warm, strong. They close around mine with surprising gentleness, and for just a second, something flickers in those gray eyes. Confusion, maybe. Or recognition. My heart stops. He knows. But then the moment passes, and his expression smooths back into that impenetrable mask. The officiant begins speaking, words about love and commitment that feel obscene in this context. I barely hear them. I'm too focused on the man beside me, on the way his thumb brushes once across my knuckles, an absent gesture that sends electricity up my arm. On the way he smells like cedar and something darker, more complex. On the way he holds himself like a predator at rest, all coiled power and controlled violence. This is the man who will own me, the man I have to convince I'm someone else. Do you, Cassian James Vale, take Vivienne Elizabeth Ashford to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. His voice is deep, authoritative. He doesn't look at me when he says it. His eyes are fixed on some point past my shoulder, as if he's already moved on to the next item on his agenda. And do you, Vivienne Elizabeth Ashford, take Cassian James Vale to be your lawfully wedded husband? The name hits me like a physical blow. Vivienne, not Wren. Never Wren. I open my mouth, and for a terrifying second nothing comes out. The silence stretches. I can feel my father's eyes boring into my back, can feel the weight of every person in this chapel waiting for me to speak. I do. I finally manage. Cassian's eyes snap to mine. He's looking at me now, really looking, and I see it. That flicker of confusion again. His brow furrows slightly, just a fraction of an inch, as if he's trying to solve a puzzle. Does he know? You may kiss the bride. Oh, God. Cassian turns to face me fully, his hands coming up to frame my face. His palms are warm against my cheeks, his touch surprisingly gentle for a man with such a fearsome reputation. He leans in, and I hold my breath, waiting for. The kiss is brief, perfunctory. His lips brush mine for maybe 3 seconds before he pulls back, his hands dropping away like I've burned him. But in those 3 seconds, I taste mint and whiskey. I feel the slight roughness of stubble against my skin. I smell that cedar scent up close, mixed with something uniquely him. And I see, for just an instant, the way his eyes darken before he looks away. The applause is polite, restrained. This isn't a celebration. It's a transaction being finalized. We turn to face our guests, and Cassian's hand finds the small of my back. The touch is possessive, controlling. He guides me down the aisle with the confidence of someone who's used to making people move where he wants them. I catch Eleanor's eye as we pass. She's staring at me with open curiosity, her head tilted slightly. She knows something is wrong. I can see it in the way her gaze travels from my face to Cassian's and back again. I look away quickly. The reception is held in the same building, in a room that's been transformed with white roses and candlelight. It should be beautiful. Romantic, even. But it feels like a stage set, everything carefully arranged for maximum effect and minimum authenticity. Cassian and I stand in the receiving line, accepting congratulations from people whose names I don't know. They all seem to know Vivienne, though. They comment on how lovely she looks, how lucky she is, how perfect the match is. I smile and nod and say as little as possible. Cassian says even less. He stands beside me like a statue, his hand still at my back, his expression carved from granite. When people speak to him, he responds with single words or simple phrases. No one seems surprised by this. Apparently, being cold and distant is expected from Cassian Vale. Finally, we're allowed to sit at the head table. Cassian pulls out my chair, a gesture that seems automatic rather than courteous. I sink into it gratefully, my feet already aching in Vivienne's too tight shoes. "You're very quiet," Cassian says suddenly. I turn to look at him, startled. It's the first time he's spoken directly to me since the ceremony. "I'm absorbing it all," I say carefully. "It's overwhelming." "You seemed more enthusiastic during our previous meetings." His tone is neutral, but there's something underneath it. Suspicion? Disappointment? I scramble for a response, trying to remember what Vivienne told me about those meetings. She'd been bored, she said, found him cold and uninteresting. But she'd performed for him, played the role of the perfect society bride. "Cold feet," I offer, attempting one of Vivienne's practiced smiles. "I'm sure every bride feels nervous on her wedding day." "Are you nervous?" He's watching me now, those gray eyes intense and searching. "Or are you having second thoughts?" There's an edge to the question, something that makes me think he wouldn't be entirely opposed to the latter. "Neither," I lie, just adjusting to the reality of it all. A waiter appears with champagne. Cassian takes 2 glasses, handing one to me. Our fingers brush again, and I notice the way his jaw tightens at the contact. "To our arrangement," he says, raising his glass. "Not to us. Not to our future. To our arrangement." I clink my glass against his and take a sip. The champagne is expensive, probably, but I can barely taste it past the tightness in my throat. "We should discuss the terms," Cassian continues, his voice low enough that only I can hear. "Your father and I agreed on certain expectations." Heat floods my face. I know what he means. The consummation clause. The requirement that this marriage be legitimate in every sense. "I understand," I whisper. "Do you?" He turns to face me fully, and suddenly the space between us feels very small. "Because you seem remarkably unprepared for someone who agreed to this arrangement 6 months ago." My pulse spikes. He knows something is wrong. Maybe not what exactly, but he knows. "I'm not unprepared," I say, trying to inject confidence into my voice. "I'm simply scared." He says it matter-of-factly, like he's identifying a component in a machine. "You're terrified. I can see it in the way your hands shake, the way you keep looking at the exits." I set down my champagne glass before he can see how right he is. "I'm not scared of you," I say, which is only partially true. "You should be." There's no threat in his voice, just statement of fact. "I'm not a kind man, Vivienne. I'm sure your father explained that. I don't do romance or courtship or any of the things women typically expect from marriage. This is a business arrangement. I needed a wife from a connected family to solidify certain deals. You needed financial security for your failing company. We both get what we want as long as we both fulfill our obligations." The way he says it, so cold, so transactional, should repulse me. Instead, there's a strange relief in his honesty. "What exactly are my obligations?" I ask. He leans closer, and I can smell that cedar scent again, can see the flecks of silver in his gray eyes. "You'll live in my home. Attend events with me when required. Present a united front to business associates and the media. In private..." He pauses, his gaze dropping to my mouth. "In private, you'll be my wife in every sense of the word. Is that clear?" My breath catches. The way he's looking at me right now, it's the first real emotion I've seen from him. Heat, hunger, possession. Crystal clear, I manage. Good. He pulls back, the heat vanishing as quickly as it appeared. "My driver will take us to the penthouse after the reception. I suggest you prepare yourself." With that, he stands and walks to the bar, leaving me alone at the table. I watch him go, my heart pounding. Eleanor appears in his place moments later, sliding into his abandoned chair with the grace of someone who's used to inserting herself where she's not invited. "Hello, sister-in-law," she says, and there's something sharp in her smile. "You look different than I expected." Different how? I try to keep my voice light, casual. "I met Vivienne once, at a charity auction last year." Eleanor tilts her head, studying me. She was loud, vivacious. Couldn't stop talking about herself. "You're nothing like that." My stomach drops. People change. "In 6 months?" She doesn't sound convinced. Cassian said you seemed quieter during the ceremony, more subdued. I told him maybe you were just nervous, but now I'm not so sure. I can feel the trap closing. I don't know what you're implying. I'm not implying anything. Eleanor's smile widens. I'm just making an observation. My brother doesn't notice much outside of business, but I do. And I noticed that something about you is off. Before I can respond, Cassian returns, his hand landing on my shoulder. Eleanor, stop interrogating my wife, he says, but there's no real heat in it. Just getting to know her, Eleanor says innocently. She stands, smoothing her dress. I'll leave you two alone. But Vivienne? She waits until I meet her eyes. We should have lunch soon. I'd love to hear all about how you've changed. She walks away, and I realize I'm trembling. Ignore her, Cassian says, his hand still warm on my shoulder. Eleanor likes to cause trouble. She seems perceptive. I say carefully, she is. He moves his hand from my shoulder to my neck, his thumb brushing the sensitive skin there. It's a possessive gesture, claiming. But she's also loyal. Once you're family, she'll protect you. If I'm family, if he doesn't discover the truth first. The reception drags on for another 2 hours. Dinner is served, something elaborate that I can barely eat. Speeches are made by people I don't know, saying things about Vivienne and Cassian that feel like fiction. The first dance is mechanical, Cassian's hand firm at my waist as he guides me through the steps with practiced precision. He doesn't speak during the dance, just moves us through the motions, his body close to mine, his expression unreadable. When it's finally over, when the last guest has left, and the photographers have packed up their equipment, Cassian's hand finds mine. Time to go, he says. His driver is waiting outside, a black Mercedes with tinted windows. Cassian opens the door for me, another gesture that seems automatic rather than courteous. I slide inside, the leather seats cool against my skin. He climbs in beside me, and suddenly the space feels very small. The drive to his penthouse is silent. Cassian stares out the window, his jaw tight, his fingers drumming against his thigh in the only sign of... what? Impatience? Anxiety? I steal glances at him, trying to reconcile this man with the reputation that precedes him. Ruthless, brilliant, dangerous. He doesn't look particularly dangerous right now. He looks tired. The lines around his eyes are more pronounced, his shoulders slightly hunched. For just a moment, I wonder what it would be like if this were real, if I were actually the woman he chose, the woman he wanted. If I could turn to him and say my real name and have him. We're here, he says, breaking my thoughts. The penthouse building is glass and steel, soaring into the Manhattan sky. The doorman greets Cassian by name, his eyes flicking to me with barely concealed curiosity. We take a private elevator to the top floor. The ride is silent except for the quiet hum of machinery. Cassian stands on the opposite side of the elevator, as far from me as possible, his hands in his pockets. When the doors open, they reveal an apartment that's more museum than home. Everything is sleek, modern, expensive. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcase the city lights. White marble floors reflect the recessed lighting. Not a single personal item in sight. Your room is down the hall, Cassian says, gesturing to the left. Second door. Your things have already been moved in. My room? I turn to look at him. Not our room? His expression doesn't change. I prefer my own space. We'll share a bed when necessary, but otherwise you have your privacy. I should be relieved. Instead, I feel oddly disappointed. When necessary, I echo. He looks at me then, really looks at me, and something dark flickers in his eyes. Tonight, he says quietly. Tonight is necessary. Tomorrow, I leave for Singapore on business. I'll be gone for 2 weeks. That should give you time to settle in, to adjust to your new life. 2 weeks. 14 days to figure out how to be Vivienne before he comes back and expects. Come here, he says suddenly. It's not a request. I cross the space between us on shaking legs, stopping when I'm close enough to feel the heat radiating from his body. He reaches out and cups my face, the same way he did during the ceremony. His thumb traces my cheekbone, and his brow furrows again. "You're different," he murmurs, almost to himself. "I can't explain it, but you're not." "Not what?" My voice comes out as a whisper. He stares at me for a long moment, his gray eyes searching mine like he's trying to find something he lost. Then he drops his hands and steps back. "Nothing. Go to your room. I'll give you an hour to prepare. An hour to prepare for my wedding night with a stranger. An hour to become Vivienne completely. An hour before everything changes." I turn and walk down the hall on numb legs, finding the bedroom he indicated. It's beautiful, all white and cream, with a king-sized bed and windows that overlook the city. My suitcases are already here, unpacked by someone I never met. I sink onto the edge of the bed and stare at my reflection in the mirror across the room. I'm wearing my sister's wedding dress. About to sleep with my sister's husband. Living my sister's life. And the worst part, the truly terrifying part, is that when Cassian looked at me just now, when he touched my face and said I was different, I wanted him to see me. The real me. Not Vivienne, not the substitute. Just Ren. But that's the one thing I can never let him have. So I stand up, smooth down the silk of this dress I'll never own, and prepare to give a stranger my body while hiding my name. Because that's what good daughters do. They sacrifice everything. Even themselves. Chapter 2. Learning the Game. I'm standing in my study with a glass of whiskey I haven't touched when the clock strikes midnight. My wife has been in her bedroom for exactly 1 hour and 14 minutes. I gave her 60 minutes to prepare. The extra 14 tells me she's either stalling or she's already asleep, neither of which reflects well on her commitment to our arrangement. Wife. The word feels strange even in my own thoughts. I've spent the last decade building an empire, destroying competitors, accumulating power and wealth with single-minded focus. Marriage was never part of the plan until it became necessary, until the board of directors at my largest acquisition target made it clear that they preferred family men to lead their company, until my own board started muttering about stability and legacy. So I did what I always do. I found the most efficient solution to the problem. Vivienne Ashford came from the right family, had the right connections, and seemed adequately equipped to play the role of society wife without requiring actual emotional investment from me. 2 meetings were enough to assess her suitability. Beautiful, charming, ambitious. She wanted my money and status. I wanted her bloodline and social capital. A perfect transaction. Except the woman I married today isn't the same woman I met 6 months ago. I set down the untouched whiskey and moved to the window, looking out at the Manhattan skyline. At this height, the city looks like a circuit board, all lights and connections, pulsing with electric life. Clean, logical, unlike the chaos currently unfolding in my supposedly simple arrangement. During our first meeting at that restaurant in Midtown, Vivienne had dominated the conversation. She talked about fashion, about her social circle, about the charity galas she attended. She laughed too loud at everything I said, whether it was funny or not. She touched my arm repeatedly, leaned in close, made sure I noticed her cleavage in that low-cut dress. I found her tedious, but suitable. The woman at the altar today barely spoke. She watched me with these wide, uncertain eyes. Hazel, not the blue I remembered. When I took her hand, it trembled. When I kissed her, she tasted different, sweeter, less like the cloying designer perfume, and more like vanilla? Something subtle I couldn't quite place. And when she said I do, there was this tiny hesitation, a moment where she looked genuinely terrified. Vivienne Ashford has never been terrified of anything in her privileged life. I pull out my phone and scroll to the photos from our contract signing 3 months ago. Vivienne in a red dress, confident and composed, signing her name with a flourish. I zoom in on her face. Blue eyes, definitely blue, wider smile, different cheekbones, or maybe just different makeup. The woman today had softer features, a more delicate bone structure. And those eyes, They shifted between green and gold, depending on the light, uncertain in a way that Vivienne never was. I'm being paranoid. Women change their appearance constantly. Hair, makeup, weight loss, weight gain. And wedding day stress could explain the personality shift. Maybe she's having second thoughts about binding herself to a man she barely knows. That would be rational. Sensible, even. But something in my gut tells me there's more to it. I learned long ago to trust my instincts. They've saved me from bad deals, dangerous people, and countless traps disguised as opportunities. Right now, those instincts are screaming that something is wrong with my new wife. The question is, what am I going to do about it? The rational choice would be to confront her directly, demand answers. But if I'm wrong, if this is just pre-wedding jitters, or some other easily explained phenomenon, then I look like a paranoid fool. And Cassian Vale doesn't look foolish. Better to observe, to gather data, to wait for her to make a mistake. And if she is hiding something, I'll find out what, and then I'll decide what to do with her. I check my watch. 1 hour and 23 minutes now. If she's expecting me to come to her room like some eager bridegroom, she's going to be disappointed. I don't chase, I never have. If Vivienne, or whoever she is, wants to consummate this marriage, she can come find me. I turn back to my desk, pulling up the files on the Singapore deal. 2 weeks of negotiations with some of the most ruthless businessmen in Southeast Asia. I should be reviewing the contracts, preparing my strategy, not obsessing over a woman who's probably just nervous about sleeping with her new husband. But I can't focus. The words blur on the screen. All I can think about is the way she looked at me during the ceremony, like she was drowning, and I was the only thing keeping her afloat. Vivienne never looked at me like that. She looked at my bank account, my properties, my status, never at me. This woman looked at me like I was real. A soft knock on the study door interrupts my thoughts. "Come in," I say, expecting my assistant with some last-minute detail about the Singapore trip. But it's her. Vivienne, or whoever she is, stands in the doorway wearing a white silk robe that falls to mid-thigh. Her hair is down, falling in dark auburn waves past her shoulders. Auburn. Wasn't it lighter before? More golden? She scrubbed off the heavy makeup from the wedding, and without it, she looks younger, more vulnerable. Her face is pale, her eyes wide and nervous. "I wasn't sure if you were coming," she says quietly, "so I thought I should." "Should what?" I lean back in my chair, studying her. "Come find you." She takes a hesitant step into the room. "You said tonight was necessary." Necessary. My own word, thrown back at me with this little tremor in her voice that makes me feel like an executioner. "It is," I say, keeping my tone neutral. "Close the door." She does, and the soft click seems to echo in the sudden silence. She stands with her back to the door, her hands clasped in front of her like a child waiting to be scolded. "You're afraid of me," I observe. "I'm not," she starts, but I cut her off. "Don't lie, I can see it. The way you're standing, the way you won't quite meet my eyes. You're terrified." I stand up, moving around the desk. "The question is, why? You agreed to this arrangement. You knew what it entailed." "I know," she whispers. It's been a long day." I walk toward her slowly, watching the way her breath quickens with each step I take. When I'm close enough to touch her, I stop. "Look at me," I say. She raises her eyes to mine, and the impact of that gaze hits me like a physical force. Those shifting hazel eyes, full of some emotion I can't quite name. Fear, yes, but also something else. Something that looks almost like longing. "What's your name?" I ask suddenly. She blinks. "What? Your name? Tell me your name." "Vivienne," she says, but there's the slightest hesitation. "Vivienne Ashford. Well, Vale now, I suppose." I reach out and cup her face, the way I did during the ceremony. Her skin is softer than I expected, warm and smooth. She doesn't pull away, but I feel her breath catch. "You're different," I say, echoing my earlier observation, "from the woman I met before, Everything about you is different." "People change," she says, but her voice wavers. "Not this much. Not this fast." I let my thumb trace her cheekbone, and she closes her eyes at the contact. "What are you hiding, Vivienne?" "Nothing," she breathes. "I'm not hiding anything." It's a lie. I know it's a lie. But before I can press further, she opens her eyes and looks at me with such raw vulnerability that my thoughts scatter. "Please," she whispers. Can we not do this? The interrogation, the suspicion, I'm here, I married you, I'm trying to be what you need me to be." And there it is. The admission that she's performing. That she's playing a role. But aren't we all? Isn't this entire arrangement just two people playing the parts we agreed to play? "What I need," I say slowly, "is honesty. Can you give me that?" She's quiet for a long moment, and I can see the war playing out behind those hazel eyes. Whatever she's hiding, she's considering telling me. The truth is right there, balanced on the edge of her lips. Then she looks down. I'm trying to be a good wife. That's the truth. Not the truth I'm looking for, but perhaps the only truth she's willing to give right now. I drop my hand from her face and step back. "Go to bed, Vivienne. You look exhausted." Confusion flashes across her face. "But you said—" I changed my mind. I returned to my desk, sitting down and pulling my laptop back toward me. We have our entire lives to fulfill the terms of our contract. One night won't make a difference. "I don't understand." She sounds almost hurt. "If I did something wrong." "You didn't do anything wrong." I force myself not to look at her, to focus on the screen in front of me. I just don't bed women who look at me like I'm about to hurt them. Call it a quirk. The silence stretches. I can feel her standing there, probably trying to figure out what game I'm playing. Finally, I hear her soft footsteps crossing the room. She pauses at the door. "Cassian?" I look up despite myself. "Thank you," she says quietly, for giving me time." Then she's gone, and I'm alone again with my suspicions and this strange, unwelcome feeling in my chest that I refuse to identify as concern. I should be relieved. The plan was always to keep this marriage purely transactional, emotionally sterile, sex when necessary, companionship when required, but nothing deeper, nothing that could complicate things. But that look in her eyes, that desperate, grateful, heartbreaking look, it complicates everything. I pull up her file. Vivienne Elizabeth Ashford, age 28, born into old money that's slowly evaporating, educated at private schools, member of all the right clubs, photographed at all the right events. On paper, she's exactly what I need. I start cross-referencing the photos online with the woman I married today. Different hair colors could be explained by dye jobs, different eye colors, contacts, makeup. The slight difference in facial structure could be weight loss, different makeup techniques. Or it could be a different person entirely. The thought should alarm me more than it does. Instead, I find myself oddly intrigued. If someone did substitute another woman for Vivienne, they went to significant trouble to make it believable. The real question is, why? And more importantly, who? I click through image after image of Vivienne Ashford at various society events over the past few years. Confident, radiant, always at the center of attention. In several photos, there's another woman beside her, darker hair, more reserved, always slightly in the background. The caption on one photo catches my eye: Vivienne Ashford and Sister Wren at the Metropolitan Museum Gala. Sister. I zoom in on the background woman. Similar facial structure to Vivienne, but softer. More delicate features. And those eyes, even in the photograph, they seem to shift between shades, uncertain and hesitant. Just like my wife's eyes. I lean back in my chair, a cold certainty settling in my chest. The woman I married today isn't Vivienne Ashford. She's Wren. The question is, does she think I don't know, or is she counting on me never finding out? Either way, it's a dangerous game she's playing, The marriage contract I signed with the Ashford family included specific clauses about fraud and misrepresentation. If I can prove I was given the wrong bride, I could annul the marriage, demand financial penalties, potentially destroy the entire Ashford family. I should be furious. I should call my lawyers right now and start the process of unraveling this mess. Instead, I find myself thinking about the way she looked in that doorway tonight, nervous and vulnerable and so obviously out of her depth. About the way she thanked me for giving her time like it was some great kindness instead of basic decency. About the way she said, "I'm trying to be a good wife," like it was a vow she actually meant to keep. Vivienne would never have said that. Vivienne would have seduced me with practiced ease, performed her wifely duties with the mechanical efficiency of someone checking boxes on a to-do list. But Ren, if that's who she really is, Ren looked at me like I mattered, like this marriage might mean something more than a merger of assets and bloodlines. I close the laptop and pour myself another whiskey, this time actually drinking it. The burn helps me think clearly. I have 2 weeks in Singapore to decide what to do with this information. 2 weeks to determine if Ren Ashford is a willing participant in this deception or a victim being forced to play a role. 2 weeks to figure out why the hell I care which one it is. Because I shouldn't care. This was always meant to be a business arrangement. The specific woman playing the role of my wife shouldn't matter as long as she fulfills the contractual obligations. But somehow, irrationally, it does matter. The woman who stood in that doorway tonight, terrified and trying so hard to be brave, she matters. And that's a problem. Because Cassian Vale doesn't do emotional attachments. I don't get invested in people. I use them, leverage them, discard them when they're no longer useful. It's kept me safe, kept me powerful, kept me in control. Caring about what happens to a woman who's lying to me, who's pretending to be someone she's not, who's probably being coerced into this whole situation by her desperate family, that's the kind of weakness that gets exploited. That's the kind of weakness that destroys empires. I down the rest of the whiskey and set the glass on my desk with more force than necessary. 2 weeks. That's all I'm giving myself. 2 weeks to observe, to gather evidence, to determine the extent of this deception. And then I'll decide what to do with my substitute bride. Whether to expose her and watch her world burn, or to keep her secret and see where this dangerous game leads. Because one thing is certain, Ren Ashford has no idea who she's dealing with. And by the time I'm done, she'll wish she'd never agreed to take her sister's place. Or maybe, and this is the thought that disturbs me most, maybe she'll wish she'd told me the truth from the start. Because if there's one thing I hate more than being lied to, it's finding out that the person who lied to me is someone I actually wanted to know. I turn off the lights in my study and head to my own bedroom, deliberately not looking down the hall toward where she's sleeping. Tomorrow, I leave for Singapore. Tomorrow, the real game begins. And Ren Ashford, whether she knows it or not, has just become the most interesting opponent I've faced in years. I just hope she's ready for what comes next. Because I'm not sure I am. Chapter 3, The First Night. Cassian leaves for Singapore at dawn. I don't see him before he goes. I wake to silence and an empty penthouse, save for the housekeeper who introduces herself as Mrs. Chen and informs me that Mr. Vale has already departed for the airport. He left instructions for your comfort, she says in her precise, accented English. If you need anything, you have only to ask. What I need is to stop feeling like I'm living in a museum. What I need is to go back in time and tell my father, no, I won't do this. Find another solution. What I need is to hear someone, anyone, call me by my real name. But I smile and thank Mrs. Chen and spend the morning wandering the penthouse like a ghost haunting someone else's life. The space is enormous, 5,000 square feet of sleek modern design. Everything is white, black, or gray, chrome and marble and glass. There are no photographs, no personal items, nothing that suggests a human being actually lives here. Even Cassian's study, which I peek into, despite knowing I shouldn't, is pristine and impersonal. My bedroom, not our bedroom, my bedroom, is beautiful in the same cold way. A king-sized bed with white linens. A walk-in closet that's been filled with clothes I didn't choose, all in Vivienne's size and style. A bathroom with a soaking tub and a shower big enough for 4 people. Everything I could want, materially. Nothing that feels like mine. I'm standing at the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at Manhattan spread below like a glittering promise, when my phone rings. My father's name flashes on the screen. I consider not answering. But that's not an option, is it? Not anymore. Hello, Father. Rin. His voice is clipped, businesslike. How did it go? The wedding? The ceremony where I pledged my life to a stranger? The night where my husband looked at me with suspicion and then sent me away. Fine, I say. Everything went fine. Did he? My father pauses, and I realize with a sick feeling what he's asking. He left for Singapore this morning, I say quickly. There wasn't time. It's not technically a lie. There wasn't time because Cassian chose not to make time. Because he looked at me with those cold gray eyes and saw something that made him hesitate. 2 weeks, my father says. You have 2 weeks to learn how to be convincing. When he returns, there can be no mistakes. The merger paperwork is being finalized. If anything jeopardizes this arrangement before the contracts are signed. I understand. I close my eyes against the view, against the weight of his expectations. I won't fail. See that you don't. He hangs up without saying goodbye. I stand there with the phone in my hand, looking at my reflection in the window glass. The woman staring back at me is wearing Vivienne's clothes, living in Vivienne's marriage, drowning in Vivienne's life. But the eyes are mine, hazel and uncertain, and desperate for something I can't name. I spend the next 3 days in a kind of limbo. Mrs. Chen appears every morning to prepare breakfast, which I eat alone at the massive dining table. She cleans, does laundry, manages the household with quiet efficiency. She never asks questions, never seems curious about why the new Mrs. Vale spends so much time staring out windows, or why she barely touches the expensive meals prepared by the private chef who comes in for dinner. On the 4th day, I can't stand the isolation anymore. I need to do something, to be useful, to feel like more than a decorative object waiting for its owner to return. I find the art gallery Cassian mentioned during one of our brief conversations at the wedding. Vale Acquisitions owns a collection of contemporary pieces worth millions. They're stored in a climate-controlled vault in the building's basement. Insurance paperwork states, therefore, quote, display and investment purposes. But when I get the security guard to let me into the vault, I find paintings and sculptures gathering dust in darkness, valuable art being treated like warehouse inventory. It breaks something in me. These beautiful things, created by human hands, expressions of human souls, stored in the dark because they're more valuable as assets than as art. I spend the rest of the day cataloging the collection, making notes on condition, provenance, which pieces would benefit from professional conservation. It's the first time since the wedding that I feel like myself. Like Ren, the art conservator who worked at small museums and loved her job, even though it barely paid enough to survive. Not Vivienne, who only cared about art when it came with the right price tag and the right social cachet. That night, I work in Cassian's study without thinking about whether I'm allowed. I draft a proposal for a rotating exhibition in the penthouse, for proper display and conservation of the collection. It's presumptuous, probably. He didn't ask for this. Vivienne would never have cared enough to bother. But I'm not Vivienne. And for just a few hours working on something I actually understand, I let myself forget that I'm supposed to be. On day 7, Eleanor appears at the penthouse door unannounced. Surprise inspection, she says with a sharp smile, sweeping past Mrs. Chen before I can protest. My brother may not care how you're settling in, but I do. She's wearing designer jeans and a cashmere sweater that probably costs more than my old monthly rent. Her dark hair is pulled back in a sleek ponytail, and she moves through the penthouse with the confidence of someone who's been here 1,000 times. Nice place, isn't it? She trails her fingers along the back of the white leather sofa. So cold you could store corpses. Very Cassian. It's modern, I offer carefully. It's soulless. Eleanor turns to look at me, those perceptive dark eyes taking in every detail. Just like the man who owns it. No offense to your new husband. None taken? I'm not sure how to navigate this conversation. Is she testing me? Trying to catch me in some mistake? So, Eleanor perches on the arm of the sofa, casual and elegant. How are you really? And don't give me the polite society answer. I want the truth. I'm fine, I say automatically. Liar, but she's smiling. You look miserable. Granted, being married to Cassian would make anyone miserable, but you seem particularly miserable. What's wrong? Having second thoughts? I should brush her off, play the happy newlywed. But there's something in Eleanor's directness that makes me want to be honest, even if I can't tell her the whole truth. It's an adjustment, I admit. Being here, in this life, everything is so different from what I'm used to. I bet. Eleanor's eyes narrow slightly. You know, I remember meeting Vivienne at that charity auction last year. She seemed very comfortable with wealth, very eager to climb the social ladder. You're nothing like that. My heart stutters. People change. Please. Eleanor waves a hand dismissively. That's what you said at the wedding. But people don't change their entire personality in 6 months. So either you're not who you say you are, or something happened to you that fundamentally altered who you are. Which is it? I stare at her, trapped. If I admit the truth, she could destroy everything. But if I keep lying, she'll never trust me. I'm trying to be a good wife to your brother, I say finally. That's the truth. Eleanor studies me for a long moment. Then she laughs, sharp and unexpected. God, you're terrible at this. She stands up, moving closer. But you know what? I like you better than I liked Vivienne. She was a narcissistic social climber with no substance. You, she tilts her head. You're actually interesting. Don't worry. Your secret is safe with me. Eleanor's smile is conspiratorial. Whatever secret it is, I don't care if you're Vivienne or the Queen of England. My brother needs someone real in his life, even if he doesn't know it yet, maybe especially because he doesn't know it. He hates deception, I whisper. He hates vulnerability more. Eleanor touches my shoulder, a surprisingly gentle gesture. Give him time, and be yourself, whoever that is. It's better than trying to be someone you're not. She leaves, as abruptly as she arrived, and I'm left standing in the middle of this pristine penthouse, wondering if I just made an ally or a dangerous enemy. The days blur together after that. I continue cataloging the art collection. I read in the study, surrounded by Cassian's books. Philosophy, military strategy, classic literature. I find myself trying to understand him through the things he chooses to keep close. At night, I sleep in the too-big bed and dream about gray eyes and cold hands that somehow felt warm when they touched my face. On day 12, Cassian calls. It's late, past midnight in New York, which means it's afternoon the next day in Singapore. I'm in the study, working on the exhibition proposal, when my phone rings with an unknown international number. Hello? My voice sounds breathless. It's me, Cassian's voice, deep and familiar despite only hearing it for one day. I wanted to check in, make sure you haven't burned down the penthouse. It's still standing. I close my laptop, suddenly nervous. How is Singapore? Exhausting. The negotiations are taking longer than expected. There's a pause, and I can hear ambient noise in the background. Voices, traffic. How are you? It's such a simple question, but the way he asks it, like he might actually care about the answer, makes my throat tight. I'm okay, I say. Mrs. Chen has been very helpful, and Eleanor visited. Did she? Something shifts in his tone. What did my sister want? Just to check on me. To make sure I was settling in. And are you? Settling in? I look around the study. At the proposal open on the laptop? At the art books I've pulled from his shelves? At the life I'm trying to build from borrowed pieces? I'm trying, I say honestly. Another pause, longer this time. When Cassian speaks again, his voice is quieter. I've been thinking about you. My heart stops. You have? About our wedding night. About sending you away. He sounds almost uncertain, which seems impossible for a man like him. I want you to know it wasn't because I didn't want. He stops. Starts again. It's complicated. I understand, I whisper. Do you? The question is sharp. Because I'm not sure I do. I don't know what to say to that. We're both navigating something neither of us expected. Him with a wife who isn't who he thinks she is. Me with a husband who sees too much. When do you come home? I ask instead. 2 more days. The contracts should be finalized by then. Another pause. I'll call you tomorrow. Same time. Okay. Ren. He stops abruptly. The world stops with him. He said Ren, not Vivienne. Ren. He knows. Oh God, he knows. I mean, Cassian's voice is controlled again. Careful. Good night. He hangs up before I can respond, before I can ask if I heard him correctly, before I can beg him to say it again. I sit in the dark study with the phone pressed to my chest, my heart pounding so hard I think it might break through my ribs. He called me Ren. He knows who I am. And he's coming home in 2 days. I should run. Pack a bag and disappear before he gets back, before he can confront me, before everything falls apart. But I don't. Instead, I spend the next 2 days preparing. I finish the exhibition proposal. I organize the art collection. I try on every dress in my closet until I find one that feels like me, not Vivienne, me. A simple navy blue dress, elegant but understated. Because if Cassian knows the truth, then I'm done hiding. I'm done being Vivienne. Whatever happens when he returns, I'm going to face it as myself, as Ren, even if it destroys me. On the morning of day 14, I wake before dawn and watch the sun rise over Manhattan. The city transforms from shadow to gold, and I think about transformation, about becoming something new, about the possibility of being seen and known and maybe, impossibly, accepted. Mrs. Chen brings breakfast, but I can't eat. At 10 a.m., my phone buzzes with a text. Landing in an hour. We need to talk. At 11:30, I hear the elevator doors open. At 11:31, Cassian walks through the penthouse door, and his gray eyes find mine across the room. And I know, looking at his face, that everything is about to change. Hello, Ren, he says quietly. My name, my real name, said in his deep voice with something that sounds almost like tenderness. I've never heard anything more terrifying or more beautiful. Hello, Cassian, I whisper back. And just like that, the game changes. The lies are over. Now comes the truth. And I have no idea if the truth will save us or destroy us both. Chapter 4, Masks and Mirrors. She looks different. 2 weeks away, and the woman standing in my penthouse is almost unrecognizable from the terrified bride I left behind. She's wearing a navy dress that's simpler than anything Vivienne would choose. Elegant, but understated. Her hair falls loose around her shoulders in natural waves instead of the styled perfection from the wedding. No heavy makeup, just her own features, bare and honest. She's beautiful. More beautiful than Vivienne ever was, because she's real. Hello, Ren, I say again, watching the way my voice saying her name makes her close her eyes briefly, like she's been starving for the sound of it. You know, it's not a question. She opens her eyes and looks at me directly, those hazel eyes shifting between green and gold in the morning light. How long have you known? Since the wedding. I set down my briefcase and walked toward her slowly, the way you approach something fragile that might shatter. Maybe before. I knew something was wrong from the moment I saw you at the altar. She flinches. Wrong? Different. I stop a few feet away, close enough to see the pulse beating in her throat, the slight tremor in her hands. You were different. Everything about you was different from the woman I met 6 months ago. And you didn't say anything. Her voice is barely above a whisper. You just watched me. Let me keep lying. I wanted to understand why. I move closer, and she doesn't retreat. Why would someone substitute one sister for another? Why would you agree to marry a stranger? Why would your family risk everything on such a dangerous deception? My father, she starts, but I cut her off. I know about your father, about Ashford Industries hemorrhaging money, about the creditors circling like sharks. I've spent 2 weeks in Singapore doing more than negotiating business deals. I've had my people dig into every aspect of the Ashford family finances. I know that my investment was the only thing standing between your family and complete ruin. Then you know I didn't have a choice. There's fire in her voice now, color rising in her cheeks. Vivienne ran away with the man she actually loves. My father needed a bride to fulfill the contract. I was convenient. Convenient, I taste the word bitter and sharp. Is that what you call selling yourself to save your family? What would you call it? She takes a step toward me, chin raised in defiance. A business transaction? Isn't that what you wanted anyway? A wife from the right family to make you look respectable to your board? She's right, and the truth of it stings more than it should. I wanted honesty, I say quietly. I wanted to know who I was binding myself to. Then why didn't you ask? Her eyes are bright with unshed tears. When you suspected, when you knew something was wrong, why didn't you just confront me? Because I was curious. Because I wanted to see who you really were beneath the performance. Because somewhere in those 2 weeks away, I started to care about the answer. I'm asking now, I say instead. Who are you, Wren Ashford? She takes a shaky breath. I'm the daughter no one notices. The one who was always in Vivienne's shadow. I worked at a small museum as a conservator until they had budget cuts. I like art more than people. I prefer quiet evenings to parties. I've never been good at playing games or pretending to be something I'm not. And yet here you are, playing the biggest game of all. Here I am, she echoes, and a tear finally escapes, sliding down her cheek. Failing at it, apparently. I reach out and catch the tear with my thumb, wiping it away. Her skin is soft, warm. She leans into the touch like she's desperate for it, and something clenches in my chest. You're not failing, I murmur. You're just not very good at being Vivienne. Is that a compliment? Yes. I let my hand fall away, though I want to keep touching her. I hated Vivienne. She was vapid, manipulative, and transparently only interested in my money. But you, I pause, trying to find the right words. You cataloged my art collection. Confusion flickers across her face. What? Mrs. Chen told me. You spent hours in the vault, documenting every piece, making notes on conservation needs. I pull out my phone and show her the proposal she left on my laptop, the one for rotating exhibitions and proper display. You did this. She looks at the screen, then back at me, uncertain. I shouldn't have touched your things without permission. I just couldn't stand seeing beautiful art locked away in the dark. I don't care about permission. I step closer until there's barely any space between us. I care that you saw something valuable being wasted and tried to fix it. That you spent your time alone here, doing something productive, instead of shopping or posting on social media, or any of the other things Vivienne would have done. I don't understand. She's looking up at me now, confusion and hope warring in her expression. You're not angry? Oh, I'm furious. I let her see it in my eyes. The cold rage that's been simmering beneath the surface for 2 weeks. Your father lied to me. Vivienne abandoned her obligations. You agreed to perpetrate a fraud that could have had serious legal consequences. All of that makes me very, very angry. She pales. The contract states that any misrepresentation constitutes grounds for immediate annulment and financial penalties severe enough to destroy what's left of your family's wealth. I watch her process this, watch the fear bloom in those hazel eyes. I could ruin you, Wren, all of you, with a single phone call to my lawyers. Then why haven't you? Her voice is steady despite the fear, brave, even now. Because I don't want to. The admission hangs between us, dangerous and honest. I don't want to destroy you, I continue. I don't want to annul this marriage. I don't want to pretend the last 2 weeks didn't happen. What do you want? She whispers. The truth, all of it. I cup her face with both hands now, holding her gaze. "Tell me everything, why you agreed to this, what your father said to convince you, what you thought would happen, what you're afraid of, everything." So she does. She tells me about the night before the wedding, about Vivienne's note and her father's cold ultimatum, about being told she was nothing but a shadow, useful only as a replacement for her more valuable sister, about the fear of being discovered, the weight of the lies, the loneliness of living in a stranger's home pretending to be someone else. She tells me about finding the art collection, about needing something real to hold on to, about Eleanor's visit and the strange alliance they formed, about the phone call where I accidentally said her name and her world shifted. She tells me everything, standing there in my penthouse with tears streaming down her face, and I listen to every word. When she's finished, she's shaking. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I'm so sorry for lying to you, for deceiving you. You deserved better than—" I kiss her. I don't plan to. One moment I'm listening to her apologize, and the next my mouth is on hers, swallowing her words, tasting salt from her tears and something sweeter underneath. She gasps against my lips, and I take the opportunity to deepen the kiss, one hand sliding to the back of her neck, the other at her waist, pulling her closer. She's stiff with surprise for a heartbeat, then she melts into me, her hands coming up to grip my shirt like she's afraid I'll disappear. The kiss is nothing like the brief, perfunctory press of lips at our wedding. This is desperate and searching, two people trying to find something real in the wreckage of deception. She tastes like coffee and uncertainty, and underneath it all, something that's purely her. When I finally pull back, we're both breathing hard. "Why did you do that?" she asks, her voice shaking. "Because I've wanted to since the moment I saw you at the altar." I rest my forehead against hers. "Because you're the first real thing I've encountered in years. Because I'm tired of pretending I don't care who you actually are." I don't understand. Her hands are still fisted in my shirt. "You said you were angry." "I am angry." I pull back enough to look at her. "But I'm also intrigued, attracted, invested in figuring out what the hell to do with you, now that I know the truth. What are you going to do with me?" There's fear in the question, but also something else. Hope, maybe. I don't know yet. I'm being honest. I've spent 2 weeks in Singapore trying to decide, and I'm no closer to an answer. The logical choice would be to use this information as leverage. Renegotiate the terms of our arrangement, now that I know the real situation. And the illogical choice? Keep you, the words come out before I can stop them. Keep you as my wife, but as Ren, not Vivienne. Make this marriage real instead of a performance. Her eyes widen. You can't be serious. Why not? I challenge. The original purpose of this marriage was to provide me with a suitable wife from a connected family. You're still an Ashford. You still come from the right bloodline. The only difference is which daughter I married. The board wanted Vivienne specifically. The board wanted stability and respectability. They wanted me to settle down, to look less like a corporate raider and more like a family man. You can provide that just as well as your sister. Better, actually, since you're not sleeping with other men behind my back. She flinches at the reminder of Vivienne and her lover. This is insane, she says, but she's not pulling away from me. You barely know me. I know you better than I ever knew Vivienne. I know you're honest to a fault. I know you see value in things beyond their price tag. I know you're brave enough to sacrifice yourself for your family, even when they don't deserve it. I brush a strand of hair behind her ear. I know that when I kiss you, you kiss back like you mean it. Color floods her cheeks. Cassian, I'm not saying I'm in love with you. I need to be clear about this. I don't do love. I don't do romance. This is still a practical arrangement. But it could be a honest one. A real one. If you're willing. Willing to what? Stay married to me. As yourself. As Ren. I let my hand fall from her face. We'll present you as Vivienne to the outside world. The contracts are already signed, and explaining the substitution would raise too many questions. But between us, In private, you'll be Ren, my wife. No more lies. She stares at me like I've just proposed something impossible. Why would you want that? She asks. Why would you want me when you could have... Could have what? Vivienne? The woman who ran away rather than fulfill her obligations? Or perhaps you think I should annul this marriage and find another suitable bride. I shake my head. I don't want another bride. I want to know what happens if I keep the one I have. This is crazy. Probably. I step back, giving her space to breathe, to think. But I'm a businessman, Ren. I make calculated risks all the time. And right now, keeping you seems like the most interesting risk I've taken in years. She wraps her arms around herself, suddenly looking lost. What if I can't do it? She whispers. What if I can't be what you need? I'm not sophisticated like Vivienne. I don't know how to navigate society events or charm business associates or... I don't need sophisticated. I cut her off. I need real. Can you do that? I don't know how to be anything else. Then that's enough. I moved to my briefcase, pulling out a folder. I had my lawyers draw up an addendum to the marriage contract. It acknowledges that certain irregularities occurred during the formation of this union, but both parties have agreed to proceed with the arrangement as originally intended. I hand her the document. She takes it with trembling hands, scanning the pages. This protects my family, she says, surprised, from the fraud penalties. From any legal action you could take. It protects you, I correct. From me. From anyone who might try to use this situation against you. As long as you fulfill your role as my wife, you and your family are safe. Why? She looks up at me, those hazel eyes bright with unshed tears. Why would you protect us after what we did to you? Because you're mine now. The possessiveness in my voice surprises even me. Wife or not, willing or not, you're mine, and I protect what's mine. She's quiet for a long moment, reading through the contract, processing everything I've just said. Finally, she looks up. If I sign this, what happens next? We move forward. We figure out how to make this work. I move closer again, unable to help myself. We establish new rules, new boundaries. We learn each other, really learn each other, instead of performing for each other. And you'll call me Ren when we're alone? I'll call you Ren always. I tilt her chin up. Even when you're playing Vivienne for the cameras, I'll know who you really are. Isn't that what you wanted? To be seen? A tear slides down her cheek, but she's smiling. Yes, she breathes. God, yes. Then sign the contract, Ren. I hand her a pen. Be my wife, the real you, not the substitute, not the shadow, just you. She takes the pen with shaking hands and signs her name. Not Vivienne's careful, practiced signature, but her own name, Ren Elizabeth Ashford Vale. And when she sets down the pen, I pull her into my arms and kiss her again, sealing this new agreement, this new beginning. Welcome home, Mrs. Vale, I murmur against her lips. Which Mrs. Vale? She asks, a hint of humor in her voice despite the tears. The only one that matters. I pull back to look at her. The real one. And for the first time since this whole mess started, I see her truly smile. Not Vivienne's practiced, perfect smile, but Ren's smile, uncertain and hopeful and devastating in its honesty. I'm in so much trouble. But maybe, just maybe, it's the kind of trouble I've been looking for all along. Chapter 5. The Fracture. Living as myself is harder than living as Vivienne. When I was pretending to be my sister, I had a script to follow. I knew what Vivienne would say, how she would act, what she would wear. It was exhausting and terrifying, but at least I had guidelines. Being Ren, being myself in this marriage, means navigating without a map. It's been 3 days since Cassian came home and everything changed. 3 days since he kissed me like I was something precious. 3 days since I signed that contract with my real name and became his wife in truth, not just in pretense. 3 days of trying to figure out what that actually means. Cassian has been different. Still controlled, still distant in that way of his, but there are moments where the mask slips. Like this morning, when he found me in the kitchen making coffee at 6 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. "You're up early," he said, his voice rough from sleep. He was wearing just pajama pants, his chest bare, and I had to force myself not to stare at the lean muscles, the sharp lines of his collarbone. "I couldn't sleep," I admitted. "Too much on my mind." He moved closer, close enough that I could smell his scent, cedar and something uniquely him. "What's on your mind?" "Everything. You, this, us, whether I'm doing this right." "Nothing specific," I lied. He tilted his head, and I saw a flicker of amusement in those gray eyes. "You're a terrible liar, Ren. It's one of the things I like about you." The way he said my name, casual, natural, like he'd been saying it for years, made my chest tight. "I'm just adjusting," I said, "to all of this." "We both are." He reached past me for a coffee mug, his arm brushing mine. The contact was brief but electric. "But we have time. There's no rush." "Except there is. There's a charity gala tomorrow night, the first public event I'll attend as Cassian's wife, as Vivienne to the outside world." The thought makes my stomach churn. Now it's late afternoon, and I'm standing in front of my closet trying to decide what to wear to an event where I have to pretend to be someone else while knowing my husband sees through the performance. The blue one. I jump at the sound of Cassian's voice. He's leaning in the doorway, still in his work clothes, charcoal suit, tie loosened. He must have just gotten home from the office. "What?" I turn to face him. "The blue dress, second from the left." He moves into the room with that predatory grace of his. "It suits you better than the others." I look at the dress he's indicating. Midnight blue silk. Elegant but simple. Not the flashy red number Vivienne would have chosen. "I thought I was supposed to dress like Vivienne for these events," I say. "You are, but Vivienne had terrible taste." He comes to stand beside me, his hand finding the small of my back in a gesture that's becoming familiar. Possessive. "You have better instincts. Trust them." His touch burns through the thin fabric of my t-shirt. We haven't been intimate since the wedding, since that night he sent me away. There have been kisses, brief touches, moments of tension, but nothing more. I'm not sure if he's waiting for something, or if he's changed his mind about that aspect of our arrangement. "Cassian," I say quietly, "can I ask you something?" "Always." "What are we doing?" I turn to face him fully. I mean, I know what the contract says. I know what we agreed to. But what does that actually look like? Day to day? He's quiet for a moment, his hand still at my back, his gray eyes searching my face. "I don't know," he admits. "I've never done this before." The honesty part. Neither have I. I take a breath. "So maybe we should establish some ground rules?" "Ground rules?" He sounds amused. "All right. You start." "No more lies," I say immediately. "Between us, in private, complete honesty, even if the truth is uncomfortable." "Agreed." His thumb traces small circles at my back, distracting. My turn. "When we're alone, you're Ren. Always. I don't want to share a home with Vivienne, even in pretense." Relief floods through me. "Okay, yes. Your turn." I think about what I need, what I'm afraid of. If this isn't working, if you realize you made a mistake, choosing me instead of annulling the marriage, you have to tell me. Don't let me think everything is fine and then blindside me. Something flickers in his expression. You think I'm going to change my mind. I think you're a practical man who makes calculated decisions, and I'm terrified that one day you'll calculate that keeping me was a mistake. He moves his hand from my back to my face, cupping my cheek. "Ren, look at me." I meet his gaze. "I don't make hasty decisions," he says quietly. I spent 2 weeks in Singapore analyzing every angle of this situation. I knew exactly what I was choosing when I came back here and offered you that contract. I'm not going to change my mind. How can you be sure? Because I've never been more certain of anything in my life. His thumb brushes my cheekbone. You want honesty? Here it is. You fascinate me. You challenge me. You make me want things I've never wanted before. That's not going to change. My breath catches. What kind of things? Instead of answering, he leans down and kisses me. It's different from the desperate kiss in the living room 3 days ago. This is slower, deeper, like he's trying to learn me through touch. His other hand comes up to frame my face, holding me in place while his mouth moves against mine with devastating thoroughness. I make a sound, something between a whimper and a sigh, and his grip tightens. When he finally pulls back, we're both breathing hard. Things like that, he murmurs against my lips, like knowing what you taste like at different times of day, like learning what makes you gasp, like having someone who's actually present instead of performing. Heat floods through me. Cassian. We should establish more ground rules, he says, but he's still holding my face, still close enough that I can feel his breath. About this? About kissing? My voice comes out breathier than I intended. About intimacy. His eyes are dark now, heated. I want you, Ren. I've wanted you since the wedding, maybe before. But I need to know you want this too. Not because the contract says you have to, but because you choose to. I choose to, I whisper. I want. I stop, suddenly shy. What do you want? His voice is rough. Tell me. I want you to see me. The words tumble out before I can stop them. Really see me, not as a substitute or a replacement or a convenient solution, just me. I do see you. He kisses me again, brief and fierce. That's the problem. I can't stop seeing you. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes on the dresser. We both ignore it. It buzzes again and again. Cassian pulls back with a muttered curse. Answer it. I grab the phone, my hands shaking slightly. Eleanor's name flashes on the screen. Hello? Thank God. Eleanor's voice is sharp with urgency. Ren, you need to come to the plaza. Now. There's a situation. My stomach drops. What kind of situation? The kind involving your sister and a very public meltdown. She's here with her boyfriend, drunk and making a scene. Someone's already taken photos. If this hits social media before we can control it, I'll be right there. I hang up and look at Cassian, panic rising. Vivienne is at the Plaza Hotel causing a scene. If people see her, if they realize there are two of us, get dressed. Cassian is already moving, his expression shifting into that cold, calculating mask. We'll handle this. 20 minutes later, we're in Cassian's Mercedes, speeding toward the plaza. I'm wearing jeans and a sweater, my hair pulled back in a ponytail. No time to dress like Vivienne. No time to prepare. What are we going to do? I ask, my hands twisting in my lap. We're going to contain the situation. Cassian's voice is calm, controlled. Eleanor will keep your sister isolated. We'll get her somewhere private, sober her up, and make it clear that if she ever pulls something like this again, I will destroy her and her boyfriend financially. The cold threat in his voice should scare me. Instead, I feel a rush of something that might be gratitude. He's protecting me, protecting our secret. Why would she come back? I whisper. She wanted out. She chose Julian over all of this. Maybe she's having second thoughts. Maybe she's jealous. Maybe she's just drunk and stupid. Cassian takes my hand, threading his fingers through mine. It doesn't matter. What matters is making sure she doesn't destroy what we're building. What we're building, like this is something real. Something worth protecting. The plaza is chaos when we arrive. Eleanor meets us in the lobby, her expression grim. She's in the bar, completely wasted. She's been telling anyone who will listen that she's Vivienne Ashford and her sister stole her husband. Eleanor looks at me with concern. This is bad, Ren. Really bad. Where is she? Cassian's voice cuts through the noise. This way. We follow Eleanor through the hotel, and with each step, my heart pounds harder. I'm about to come face to face with my sister for the first time since she abandoned me to this fate. The sister who ran away and left me to clean up her mess. The sister I'm now pretending to be. The hotel bar is crowded, but I spot Vivienne immediately. She's at the center of a small group, her blonde hair disheveled, her designer dress wrinkled. Julian is beside her, looking uncomfortable. And then she sees me. Her eyes widen. For a moment, we just stare at each other. Two sisters who look similar enough to be mistaken for one another, different enough that anyone paying attention would notice. "You," she hisses, stumbling toward me. "You actually did it. You married him." "Vivienne," I start, but she's not listening. "Do you know how pathetic you look?" She laughs, bitter and sharp. "Playing dress-up in my life. Did you really think he wouldn't notice? Did you think you could just replace me?" "That's enough." Cassian's voice is deadly quiet. He steps between us, and I've never seen him look so dangerous. "You forfeited any right to this life when you ran away. Ren is my wife now, the only one who matters." Vivienne's face twists with rage. "She's not me. She'll never be me. She's just the shadow I left behind." "And I prefer the shadow," Cassian's words cut through her tirade. "Your sister has more substance in her little finger than you have in your entire body. She's intelligent, brave, and honest. You're just a coward who ran away when things got real." The bar has gone silent. Everyone is watching. "Cassian," I touch his arm. "Not here, please." He looks at me, and something in his expression softens. "You're right." He turns to Eleanor. "Get them out of here, somewhere private, now." Eleanor nods and starts directing hotel security. Within minutes, we're in a private suite upstairs. Vivienne and Julian on one side of the room, Cassian and I on the other. Eleanor stands by the door like a sentinel. "You can't do this," Vivienne says, but her voice wavers. The alcohol is wearing off, reality setting in. The contract was with me. I'm the one he chose. "The contract was with the Ashford family." Cassian interrupts. "Which daughter fulfilled it is irrelevant as far as the legal terms are concerned. And your father signed additional paperwork confirming the arrangement." "He wouldn't." But she's looking at me now, understanding dawning. "You made him sign something. You covered your tracks." "I protected my wife," Cassian corrects coldly. "From you. From anyone who might try to use this situation to their advantage." Julian stands up, his hand on Vivienne's shoulder. "Come on, Viv. This isn't worth it. Let's just go back to Paris." "Paris?" Cassian's laugh is sharp. "With what money? Your family cut you off the moment you ran away with him. Did you really think you could sustain that lifestyle on a junior investment banker's salary?" Vivienne pales. "Here's what's going to happen," Cassian continues. "You're going to take the very generous settlement I'm prepared to offer. Enough to live comfortably in Paris, start fresh, build a life with your boyfriend. In exchange, you will never contact the Ashford family again. You will never speak about this situation to anyone. You will, for all intents and purposes, cease to exist as far as New York society is concerned. And if I refuse," but there's no fight in Vivienne's voice anymore, "then I destroy you both, financially, socially, professionally. I will make sure you never work in this city again. I will ruin your boyfriend's career before it even starts. I will make your life so miserable you'll wish you'd never come back." Cassian's voice is pure ice. "Are we clear?" Vivienne looks at me, and for just a moment I see my sister, not the confident, beautiful golden child. Just a scared woman who made a choice and is living with the consequences. "Was it worth it?" she asks quietly. "Marrying him, becoming me?" "I didn't become you," I say softly. "I became his wife. As myself. And yes, it was worth it." Something flashes in her eyes. Hurt, maybe, or regret. Then she looks away. "Fine. I'll take your money and disappear." She stands, smoothing her wrinkled dress. "But don't pretend this is a fairy tale, Ren. He's using you just like he would have used me. You're just better at pretending you don't mind." Her words sting because part of me wonders if she's right. Then Cassian's hand finds mine, warm and solid. "We're done here," he says. "Eleanor will have the papers drawn up. Sign them, take the money, and get out of New York." Vivienne and Julian leave without another word. Eleanor follows to make sure they actually go. And then It's just me and Cassian in this hotel suite. The aftermath of the confrontation settling around us like dust. "Are you okay?" he asks. I sink onto the couch, suddenly exhausted. "I don't know. That was my sister. We used to be close when we were young, before everything got complicated." He sits beside me, pulling me against his side. "She made her choice. You made yours." "She said you're using me." I look up at him. "Are you?" "Yes." He doesn't hesitate. "I'm using you to legitimize my business dealings, to present a respectable image to my board, to fulfill the terms of various contracts and agreements. Just like you're using me to save your family from financial ruin." The honesty should hurt. Instead, it's oddly comforting. "But that's not all I'm doing," he continues. "I'm also getting to know you. I'm also exploring whether this arrangement can become something more than mutually beneficial. He pauses. "I'm also enjoying having you in my life." "Enjoying?" I echo. "You make me laugh. You challenge my assumptions. You see value in things I've overlooked." His arm tightens around me. "You're the first person in years who's made me want to be present instead of just going through motions." "That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me," I whisper. "Then you've been surrounded by idiots." He tilts my chin up. "Ren, what your sister said about this being a fairy tale, she's right that it's not. This is messy and complicated and built on deception. But it's also real. What we're building is real. Do you believe that?" I think about the past few days, about coffee in the morning and working side by side in his study, about the way he says my name like it matters, about how safe I feel when his hand finds mine. "I'm starting to," I admit. "Good." He kisses my forehead. "Because I'm not letting you go. Sister or no sister, doubts or no doubts, you're mine now, and I protect what's mine." There's that possessiveness again, dark and absolute. It should frighten me. Instead, I lean into it. "Take me home," I whisper. "Home," he repeats, and something warm flickers in his eyes. I like the sound of that. And as we leave the hotel and drive back to the penthouse, back to what's becoming our home, I realize something. Vivienne was wrong. This isn't a fairy tale. It's better. Because it's real. Complicated and messy and built on broken pieces, but real. And for the first time in my life, that's enough. Chapter 6. Away from the World. The Hampton estate looks different with Ren in it. I've owned this property for 5 years. 20 acres of waterfront land. A sprawling mansion that's more architectural statement than home. I come here when I need to think, to strategize, to escape the relentless pace of the city. It's always been a place of solitude. But watching Ren walk through the gardens, her face tilted up toward the afternoon sun, her dark auburn hair catching the light, suddenly this place feels less like a fortress and more like a home. "It's beautiful," she says, turning to look at me with those hazel eyes that shift between green and gold. "How often do you come here?" "Not often enough." I move to stand beside her, close enough that our shoulders brush. "Work keeps me in the city most of the time." "That's sad." She looks back at the gardens, at the ocean visible beyond the hedge line. A place like this should be lived in, not just visited. Maybe now it will be. The words come out before I can examine them too closely. She looks at me, surprised. "You'd want to spend more time here? With me?" "Why not? The charity gala is over. The contracts are signed. For the next few weeks at least, we have breathing room." I take her hand, enjoying the way her fingers automatically thread through mine. "We could use the time to figure out what this is. Away from the city. Away from expectations." "A honeymoon," she says softly. "We're taking a honeymoon." "If you want to call it that." I lead her toward the house, our hands still joined. I prefer to think of it as strategic retreat, time to solidify our foundation before the next crisis hits. She laughs, and the sound does something strange to my chest. "You're such a businessman. Even when you're being romantic, you frame it as strategy." "I'm not romantic," I say firmly. No? She stops walking, forcing me to stop too. Then what do you call bringing me to your private estate for a weekend away? What do you call holding my hand and talking about building foundations? Practical relationship maintenance. Cassian. She says my name like a reprimand, but she's smiling. You're allowed to admit you want to spend time with me because you like me. It won't make you weak. Won't it? I've spent my entire adult life building walls, maintaining distance, keeping people at arm's length. Emotions are liabilities. Attachment is vulnerability. I've seen what happens when powerful men let their guards down. They get destroyed by the people they trust. But looking at Ren, with the sun in her hair and that soft smile on her lips, I can't quite remember why distance seemed so important. I like you, I admit. There. Happy? Deliriously. She rises on her toes and kisses me, quick and sweet. Was that so hard? Harder than she knows. We spend the afternoon exploring the estate. I show her the library, floor-to-ceiling books, a fireplace, leather chairs by the window overlooking the water. Her eyes light up when she sees it. This is heaven, she breathes, running her fingers along the spines. You could get lost in here for days. Feel free. I lean against the door frame, watching her discover my space. Everything here is yours now. The library, the gardens, all of it. She turns to look at me, something vulnerable in her expression. I'm still not used to that, the idea that I belong here, that this is my life now. Get used to it. I cross the room to her, pulling her into my arms. You're not going anywhere, Ren. I told you, I don't make hasty decisions. I chose you. I'm keeping you. So possessive, she murmurs against my chest. Yes, I don't apologize for it. Is that a problem? No, she looks up at me. It's actually kind of nice, knowing I belong to someone, that I'm wanted. You're more than wanted. I cup her face, tilting it up. You're necessary. Before she can ask what I mean by that, I kiss her. Deeply, thoroughly, taking my time. We have all weekend. No interruptions, no performances, no one watching. Just us. The kiss deepens, and I feel her melt against me, her hands fisting in my shirt. When I finally pull back, we're both breathing hard. We should have dinner, I say, though what I really want is to carry her upstairs and finish what we started. We should, she agrees, but she doesn't move out of my arms. Dinner is prepared by my estate manager's wife, a simple meal of grilled fish, fresh vegetables, wine. We eat on the terrace, overlooking the water as the sun sets, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Tell me something about you, Ren says suddenly. Something no one else knows. I consider deflecting. I don't do personal revelations. But she's watching me with those earnest eyes, genuinely curious, and I find I want to give her something real. I wanted to be an architect, I say, when I was young. I used to draw buildings, design spaces. I loved the idea of creating something permanent, something that would last. What happened? My father died when I was 16. Heart attack, sudden and brutal. I inherited his company, Vale Enterprises, and realized I had a choice. I could pursue my dreams and watch everything he built crumble, or I could set aside what I wanted and become the man the company needed. I take a sip of wine. I chose the company. That must have been hard. Her hand finds mine across the table. Giving up your dreams so young. It was necessary. I turn my hand over, lacing our fingers together, and I don't regret it. I built Vale Enterprises into an empire. I'm successful beyond anything my father could have imagined. But, she prompts gently, but sometimes I wonder what I might have built if I'd chosen differently. I meet her eyes. What kind of man I might have become. You still could, she says. Design something, build something, not for profit or strategy, just because you want to. Maybe, I squeeze her hand. Your turn. Tell me something no one knows. She's quiet for a moment, looking out at the darkening water. I used to pretend to be sick, she says finally, when I was younger, just to get my mother's attention. Vivienne was always the center of everything, the parties, the praise, the focus. I would fake headaches or stomach aches, just to have my mother sit with me for an hour, even if it was just checking my temperature. The admission breaks something in my chest. I picture her as a child, desperate for scraps of attention from a mother who couldn't see past her golden daughter. "Your family is full of idiots," I say roughly. She laughs, watery but genuine. "You've said that before." It bears repeating. I stand up, pulling her with me. "Come on, I want to show you something." I lead her down to the beach, where the waves are gentle against the sand. The moon is rising, casting silver light across the water. When I first bought this place, I say I would come out here at night and think about everything I'd sacrificed to get here, everything I'd given up. It felt like I was standing at the edge of the world, completely alone. And now? She leans against me, her back to my chest, my arms wrapped around her waist. Now I'm not alone. I rest my chin on the top of her head. Now I'm standing here with someone who actually sees me, not my money or my power or what I can do for them. Just me. She turns in my arms, looking up at me with those devastating eyes. "I do see you," she whispers. "All of you. The cold businessman and the man who wanted to be an architect. The strategist and the person who brings me to beautiful places and calls it practical. Ren. I'm falling for you." The words come out in a rush. I know I shouldn't. I know this started as a transaction, but I can't help it. Every time you say my name, every time you touch me, every time you look at me like I matter, I fall a little more. My heart is pounding. I should step back, create distance, remind her this is still an arrangement. I should protect us both from the complications of real feelings. Instead, I kiss her. Not gentle this time, desperate, claiming, pouring everything I can't say into the contact. She gasps against my mouth, and I take advantage, deepening the kiss until we're both shaking with it. When I pull back, her lips are swollen, her eyes glazed. "Inside," I say roughly, now. We barely make it to the bedroom. Clothes are shed in a trail up the stairs. Her sweater, my shirt, her jeans. By the time we reach the master suite, we're down to essentials, and I can't keep my hands off her. "Cassian," she breathes as I back her toward the bed. There was only... "I know," I cup her face, forcing her to meet my eyes. "I know you were a virgin when you married me, that Matt was your only..." I stop, hating even saying his name. "I know this is new for you. Is that okay?" She looks suddenly uncertain. "I'm not experienced, like Vivienne probably was." "I don't want experienced." I kiss her softly. "I want you, exactly as you are. We'll go slow. If anything feels wrong, you tell me. Understood?" "Understood," she whispers. Slow becomes impossible the moment I lay her back on the bed and see her spread out beneath me, all soft skin and hazel eyes and trust. She reaches for me, pulling me down, and I lose myself in the sensation of her. Every touch, every kiss, every gasp she makes, I catalog them all, learning her body the way I learned her mind, with focus and intensity, and something that feels dangerously close to worship. When I finally move inside her, she arches beneath me, her nails digging into my shoulders. "Look at me," I command roughly. "Ren, look at me." Her eyes open, locking with mine, and the intimacy of it nearly undoes me. This is what I wanted without knowing I wanted it. To be seen, to be known, to connect with another person without walls or performance. "Say my name," she whispers. "Ren." I move deeper, watching her eyes flutter. "Ren, my wife, mine." "Yours," she agrees, breathless. "Always yours." The word always should terrify me. Instead, it feels like a promise I want to keep. After, we lie tangled together, her head on my chest, my fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. The room is dark except for moonlight streaming through the windows. "Cassian," her voice is soft, drowsy. "Hmm?" "Thank you." I tilt her chin up to look at her. "For what?" "For seeing me, for choosing me, for making me feel like I'm worth something." Her eyes are bright with unshed tears. No one's ever made me feel like that before. Something fierce and protective rises in my chest. Everyone who made you feel worthless was wrong. You're brilliant and brave and genuine in a world full of fakes. You're worth everything, Ren. Don't ever doubt that. A tear escapes, sliding down her cheek. I wipe it away with my thumb. I'm falling too, I admit quietly. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to be the man you need me to be. But I'm falling, and I don't want to stop. She kisses me, slow and sweet and devastating. Then don't stop, she whispers against my lips. Fall with me. We'll figure it out together. Together. When did that become something I wanted? I pull her closer, holding her like she might disappear if I let go. Outside, the waves crash against the shore in their eternal rhythm. Inside, something fundamental has shifted. This weekend was supposed to be strategy. A chance to strengthen our arrangement, build a better foundation for the performance we have to maintain. Instead, it's become something else entirely. A beginning. Not of a marriage of convenience, but of something real. Something I'm not sure I know how to protect, but I'll die trying. Because Ren Ashford, no, Ren Vale, is mine. And I don't give up what's mine. Ever. We fall asleep like that, wrapped around each other, the moon casting silver light across our joined bodies. And for the first time in longer than I can remember, I sleep without dreams of empire and conquest. Instead, I dream of a woman with hazel eyes and auburn hair, who looks at me like I'm worth seeing, who calls my name like it matters, who makes me believe that maybe, just maybe, there's more to life than power and control. Maybe there's this quiet intimacy, this honest connection, this feeling of finally being known. I wake before dawn with Ren still sleeping against me, her breathing soft and even. I watch her in the gray light, memorizing the curve of her cheek, the way her lashes rest against her skin, the small smile on her lips even in sleep. I've built an empire. I've destroyed competitors. I've accumulated more wealth and power than most people can imagine. But this, holding this woman while she sleeps, knowing she's mine and I'm hers, this feels like the greatest achievement of my life. And the most dangerous. Because now I have something to lose. Someone who could destroy me more thoroughly than any business rival. Someone I'm choosing to give that power to anyway. Ren stirs, her eyes opening slowly. When she sees me watching her, she smiles. "Good morning," she murmurs. "Good morning," I kiss her forehead. "How do you feel?" Like everything changed. She touches my face, her fingers gentle. Did it? Did everything change? Yes, I admit. Everything changed. Good. She curls closer. I don't want to go back to the way things were. Before this. Before us. We won't. I make it a promise. Whatever this is, wherever it goes, we move forward, together. Together, she echoes, and the word sounds like a vow. We stay in bed as the sun rises, talking about nothing and everything. She tells me about her favorite artists, about the museum job she loved, about dreams she set aside when her family needed her. I tell her about deals I've made, battles I've fought, the loneliness of being at the top with no one to share it with. We're learning each other, piece by piece, wall by wall. And I realize this is what I've been missing. Not a wife, not an arrangement, not a solution to a board's concerns. But this. Connection, understanding. Someone who sees the man beneath the armor and chooses him anyway. By the time we make it downstairs for breakfast, it's nearly noon. We eat on the terrace again, and I watch her enjoy the simple meal with genuine pleasure. We should stay another day, she says suddenly. We have obligations. One more day. She looks at me with those eyes that I'm learning I can't deny. Please, just one more day where we're just us, before we have to go back to being the Vales, to performing for the world. I should say no. There are meetings, contracts, a dozen things that need my attention. But looking at her, at this woman who's become necessary to me in ways I'm still discovering, I find I don't care about any of it. One more day. I agree. Her smile is radiant, and I think I would give her anything to see that smile, which is terrifying and exhilarating, and exactly what I signed up for when I chose her over the annulment. We spend the rest of the weekend in our private bubble, walking on the beach, reading together in the library, making love in the afternoon sunlight, learning to exist together without agenda or performance. Being real. And when we finally drive back to the city on Monday morning, something has fundamentally changed between us. We're not playing at marriage anymore. We're building one. Messy and complicated and based on deception that somehow transformed into truth. But real. Finally, beautifully, terrifyingly real. And whatever comes next, we'll face it together. As husband and wife. As Cassian and Ren. As us. Chapter 7. The Unraveling. I should have known happiness like this wouldn't last. We've been back from the Hamptons for 3 weeks, and every day has felt like discovering something new. Cassian leaves notes for me in the mornings before he goes to the office. Simple things like, "Don't forget lunch," or "The art dealer called about the Rothko." Once, he just wrote Ren on a Post-it and stuck it to my coffee mug, like he needed to remind me that he sees me, knows me, claims me. I kept that Post-it. It's in my bedside drawer, a tiny piece of proof that this is real. But reality has a way of intruding on fairy tales. I'm in the penthouse library, working on a proposal for a new exhibition rotation, when my phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. "Ren Ashford," a man's voice, smooth and cold. Or should I say, Ren Vale? My blood turns to ice. Who is this? "Marcus Reed. I'm a business associate of your husband's. Well, competitor might be more accurate." A pause. "We need to talk." "I have nothing to say to you." "Not even about the interesting discovery I've made?" His voice takes on an edge. "About how Cassian Vale married the wrong Ashford sister? About how you've been perpetrating fraud for the past 2 months? The room spins. I sink into the nearest chair, my hand gripping the phone so tight my knuckles turn white. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Please." He laughs, sharp and unpleasant. "I have photographs. Vivienne Ashford in Paris with her boyfriend, dated the same week as your wedding. I have testimony from hotel staff who've seen both of you. I have enough evidence to destroy your marriage, your husband's reputation, and your entire family." "What do you want?" My voice comes out as a whisper. "I want. Cassian Vale brought down a few pegs. He's been interfering with my business dealings for years. This merger he just completed in Singapore? That was supposed to be mine." The hatred in his voice is palpable. "You're going to help me get my revenge." "I won't." "You will, or I go public with everything. I'll ruin him, Ren. I'll make sure every business partner, every board member, every investor knows he was duped by a substitute bride. His reputation for being shrewd, untouchable, always 3 steps ahead? Gone. And the legal penalties for contract fraud?" He whistles. "Let's just say your family won't recover." Cassian already knows. The words tumble out desperately. "He knows who I am. He chose to keep me. You can't use this against us." Silence. Then, does he? Or are you just telling yourself that to sleep better at night? He knows. I insist, but doubt creeps in. Does he? He discovered the truth, yes. He confronted me. But did we ever actually formalize the acknowledgement? Did he tell his lawyers, his board, anyone who matters? Or is our truth just between us, vulnerable to anyone who wants to exploit it? "Here's what's going to happen," Marcus continues. "You're going to meet me tomorrow, 2 p.m., the coffee shop on 5th and 42nd. You're going to give me access to Cassian's private files, acquisition targets, financial strategies, merger plans, everything I need to stay ahead of him. I can't do that. Then I release the photos, the testimony, everything. Your choice, Ren. Betray your husband's business interests, or watch me destroy both of you. He hangs up. I sit in the library, staring at my phone, my heart pounding so hard I feel sick. This is what I feared from the beginning. This is why I was terrified to take Vivienne's place. One wrong move, one person looking too closely, and everything collapses. I should tell Cassian immediately. We promised honesty, no more lies, complete transparency. But the thought of seeing disappointment in his eyes, of proving that I'm the liability he should have annulled from the start, makes my chest tight with panic. Maybe I can handle this myself. Meet with Marcus, explain that I don't have access to Cassian's files, convince him that exposing us helps no one. Maybe I can fix this before it becomes a problem. Maybe I can protect the happiness I've finally found. I'm still sitting there, paralyzed with indecision, when Cassian comes home early. He finds me in the library, and his expression immediately shifts to concern. What's wrong? He crosses the room, pulling me to my feet, his hands on my shoulders. Ren, what happened? I open my mouth to tell him. The promise of honesty is right there, demanding I speak. But what comes out is nothing, just a headache. The lie tastes like ash. His eyes narrow. You're a terrible liar. Tell me the truth. It's nothing, I insist, forcing a smile. Really, I've just been working too long, staring at the computer. He doesn't look convinced, but after a moment, he pulls me into his arms. Take a break. Come have dinner with me. We'll watch something mindless on TV and forget about work for a while. I let him hold me, breathing in his cedar scent, memorizing the feeling of safety in his arms. Because if Marcus Reed has his way, this might not last much longer. That night, I barely sleep. Cassian's arm is heavy around my waist, his breathing deep and even. He trusts me, he chose me, and I'm lying to him again. But what choice do I have? At 1:45 p.m. the next day, I'm standing outside the coffee shop on 5th Avenue, my hands shaking. I told Mrs. Chen I was meeting Eleanor for lunch. Another lie. They're piling up like debts I can't repay. Marcus Reed is already inside, sitting at a corner table. He's handsome in that polished, predatory way. Expensive suit, cold smile, eyes that calculate everything. Mrs. Vale. He stands when I approach, a mockery of politeness. So glad you could make it. I'm not giving you anything, I say without sitting down. Whatever you think you can blackmail me into doing, you're wrong. Sit down. It's not a request. We're going to have a civilized conversation. Against my better judgment, I sit. Here's what I know, Marcus says, sliding his phone across the table. On the screen are photos. Vivienne in Paris, dated 2 weeks ago. Me at the wedding. Side-by-side comparisons, highlighting the differences. Your sister is alive and well, and living in Europe with her boyfriend. You took her place to save your family business. Cassian Vale married the wrong woman. He knows. Does he? Marcus leans forward. Because, from what I can tell, he hasn't filed any amended paperwork with the state. The marriage license still says Vivienne Elizabeth Ashford. The merger contracts reference his wife by that name. Publicly, officially, legally, you're still pretending to be your sister. Ice floods my veins. He's right. We never corrected the legal documentation. We agreed to maintain the fiction publicly while being honest privately. But that means legally, this is still fraud. What do you want? I ask again. I told you, information, access to his files, his strategies, his plans. Marcus pulls out a USB drive. Install this on his computer. It'll copy everything to a secure server I can access. Simple. I won't betray him. Then I'll destroy him. Marcus's smile is cruel. And you, and your entire family. The choice is yours, Ren. I stare at the USB drive like it's a snake. If I do this, I betray Cassian's trust completely. Everything we've built, everything we've become to each other, destroyed by my cowardice. If I don't, Marcus exposes us. The legal ramifications alone could be catastrophic. And Cassian's reputation, his carefully cultivated image of being untouchable, would shatter. I need time, I whisper. You have 24 hours. Marcus slides the USB drive across the table. Install it, or I go public. Your choice. He leaves me sitting there with the drive in my hand and panic rising in my throat like bile. I should go home and tell Cassian everything, right now, immediately. Instead, I walk. For hours, I walk through Manhattan, the USB drive burning a hole in my pocket, my mind racing through scenarios and consequences. By the time I get back to the penthouse, it's nearly 8 p.m. Cassian is in his study, on a call. He sees me through the glass door and waves, mouthing 5 minutes. I have 5 minutes to decide. 5 minutes to choose between protecting Cassian and protecting our secret. 5 minutes to determine if I'm brave enough to trust him with the truth. I walk to his study door, my hand on the knob. Through the glass, I watch him negotiate something on the phone, his voice authoritative, his expression sharp. This is Cassian Vale, the ruthless businessman who destroys competitors and builds empires. This is the man I've married. The man who said he'd protect what's his. The man I'm terrified to disappoint. He ends the call and looks up at me, his expression softening immediately. There you are, I was starting to worry. He stands, moving toward the door. Where were you? This is it, the moment of truth. I need to tell you something, I say as he opens the door. And you're going to be angry. His expression shudders. What did you do, Ren? So I tell him. Everything. Marcus Reed's call, the meeting, the blackmail, the USB drive currently in my pocket. Every word feels like pulling shards of glass from my throat, but I force them out. Because we promised honesty. Because he deserves to know. Because I love him, and love means trust, even when it's terrifying. When I finish, Cassian is very still. His face is unreadable, his gray eyes cold. Show me, he says quietly. I pull out the USB drive with shaking hands. He takes it, examining it like it might explode. You weren't going to tell me. It's not a question. I didn't want you to think I was a liability, that you made a mistake choosing me. Tears blur my vision. I thought I could handle it myself. By lying to me? His voice is sharp now, cutting. By meeting with my competitor behind my back? By considering. Were you actually considering installing this? No, I would never. But I can't finish the sentence because I did consider it. For one terrible moment, I wondered if betraying his business might be better than risking everything else. Get out. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Get out of my study. I need to think. He won't look at me. Go to your room, Ren. I'll deal with this. Cassian, please. Now, his voice is ice. I back out of the study, my vision blurred with tears. The door closes between us with a soft click that sounds like finality. I make it to my bedroom. Not our bedroom, my bedroom, the one I haven't slept in since the Hamptons, before the sobs take over. I sink onto the bed, my whole body shaking. I ruined it. I had everything I ever wanted, and I ruined it by being afraid, by lying, by not trusting him to protect us. Hours pass. I hear Cassian moving around the penthouse, the study door opening, his footsteps in the hall, a phone call in low tones. But he doesn't come to me. At midnight, I'm still awake, staring at the ceiling, when my door opens. Cassian stands in the doorway, his expression unreadable. I took care of it, he says flatly. Marcus Reed won't be a problem anymore. How? I have resources he doesn't. I made it clear that if he releases any information about you, about us, I'll destroy him so thoroughly he'll wish he'd never heard the Vale name. Cassian leans against the doorframe. I also had my lawyers file amended documentation. Officially, legally, you're Ren Vale now. No more pretending to be Vivienne. Not even on paper. Relief floods through me so intensely I feel dizzy. Thank you. Don't thank me. He cuts me off, his voice hard. You lied to me, Ren. After everything we promised each other. After I chose you, trusted you, gave you everything. You lied. I was scared. I don't care. He straightens. I can't do this if you're going to run scared every time there's a problem. I can't build something real with someone who doesn't trust me to handle threats. You're right. I stand up, moving toward him. You're absolutely right. I should have told you immediately. I should have trusted you. I'm sorry, Cassian. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, but his voice cracked slightly. Do you have any idea what it felt like, hearing you kept something like this from me? After everything? I was terrified of losing you. The tears are streaming down my face now. I finally have someone who sees me, who chose me, who makes me feel like I matter. The thought of disappointing you, of proving I'm not worth the risk you took, it paralyzed me. You're an idiot. He says it without heat. You think one mistake would make me throw away what we have? You think I'm that fragile? I didn't know what to think. I just knew I couldn't lose you. He's quiet for a long moment. Then he crosses the room and pulls me into his arms. You're not going to lose me, he says roughly against my hair. But you are going to promise me something. Anything. No more lies. No more secrets. No more handling things on your own, because you're afraid of my reaction. He pulls back to look at me, his hands framing my face. We're partners, Ren. That means we face problems together. Even when it's scary, even when you think it might break us, we face it together. I promise, I whisper, no more lies. No more secrets. Together. He kisses me then, hard and claiming, and I taste forgiveness and fury and fear all mixed together. Don't ever scare me like that again, he murmurs against my lips. I won't, I swear. He picks me up, carrying me out of this room, the room I've been exiled to, and down the hall to our bedroom, our room, where we've built this fragile, precious thing together. You're sleeping here, he says, setting me on the bed, with me, where you belong. Okay, I breathe. He strips off his clothes and climbs in beside me, pulling me against his chest. His heart is pounding fast and hard. I was terrified, he admits quietly. When you told me about Reed, not of him, of losing you, of this being the thing that breaks us. It's not. I press closer. I won't let it. I'll do better. I'll trust you. We'll both do better. His arms tighten around me. This is new for both of us. We're going to make mistakes, but we'll make them together. Together, I echo. And lying there in the dark, wrapped in his arms, I realize something. This is what love looks like. Not perfect, not easy, not a fairy tale where problems solve themselves. But real, messy. Two broken people choosing each other despite the fear, despite the mistakes, despite everything trying to tear them apart. Choosing each other. Again and again. Forever. I love you, I whisper into the darkness. His arms tighten. He doesn't say it back. Not yet. Maybe he's not ready. Maybe he doesn't know how. But the way he holds me, like I'm precious and irreplaceable, like he'd burn the world down to keep me safe, that says it all. And for now, that's enough. Chapter 8. The Reckoning. I'm in my office when the email arrives. It's been 2 weeks since Marcus Reed tried to blackmail Ren. 2 weeks since she lied to me, then trusted me with the truth. 2 weeks of rebuilding what fear almost broke. The email is from my head of security. Subject line, Vivian Ashford. I open it with a sense of foreboding. Mr. Vale, per your standing request for updates on Vivian Ashford's activities, I have the following to report. Subject was spotted at JFK Airport yesterday evening. Flight manifest indicates she and Julian Harrow booked tickets to New York, arriving last night. Current location unknown. Hotel records show no reservations under either name. Surveillance ongoing. We'll update when we have more information. My hands tighten on the phone. Vivienne is back in New York. Without warning, without any communication with her family, and her location is currently unknown. Nothing good can come of this. I'm already dialing Ren when my assistant buzzes through. Mr. Vale, there's a Vivienne Ashford here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's insisting. Send her in. I set down my phone. Better to face this head on. The woman who walks through my door is the same one I met 8 months ago at that restaurant in Midtown. Blonde hair, blue eyes, Designer clothes that scream money she doesn't have anymore. She looks older than I remember, harder, with lines around her eyes that weren't there before. Cassian. She smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. It's been a while. What do you want, Vivienne? I don't stand. I don't offer her a seat. She's not welcome here. Straight to the point. I always appreciated that about you. She sits anyway, crossing her legs. I want to renegotiate our arrangement. There is no arrangement. You forfeited any claim to me when you ran away. But that's just it. She leans forward. I've been thinking a lot about that decision. I was hasty, impulsive. I let emotion cloud my judgment. Her smile widens. I made a mistake. You made a choice. A choice I'm prepared to rectify. She pulls out a folder, sliding it across my desk. I've had lawyers look into the situation. The original marriage contract was with me, specifically. Vivienne Elizabeth Ashford. Any substitution of the bride constitutes fraud, grounds for annulment, and severe penalties. I'm aware of the contract terms. I don't touch the folder. I wrote them. Then you know that legally you're still married to me. Or you would be if you'd actually married me. Since you didn't, she shrugs delicately. The contract is void. The merger deals tied to our marriage? Also void. Unless what? Unless we fix this. Annul the marriage to Ren, marry me as originally intended, and proceed as planned. She says it like she's proposing a simple business solution. I'll sign whatever you want. Prenup, infidelity clauses, whatever makes you comfortable. We'll maintain separate lives, separate bedrooms. You get your respectable wife. I get financial security. Everyone wins. I study her across my desk. This woman who was supposed to be my wife, who I would have married, lived with, tied myself to for the rest of my life if things had gone according to plan. Thank God they didn't. No, I say simply. Her confidence falters. No, I'm not annulling my marriage to Ren. I'm not marrying you. I'm not even remotely interested in any arrangement that doesn't involve the woman I chose to keep. You chose wrong. Her voice hardens. She's not me. She can't give you what I can. The connections, the social standing, the image. She gives me something you never could. I stand up, moving to the window. Honesty, trust, a reason to come home at night that isn't just an empty penthouse. You're being emotional. Vivienne stands too. This isn't like you, Cassian. You're a businessman. You make calculated decisions. Surely you can see that keeping Ren is a liability. She's the substitute, the backup plan, the shadow. The words echo what Ren told me her father said, what she's believed about herself for years, and hearing them from Vivienne's mouth makes rage simmer in my chest. Ren is my wife, I say coldly, not the substitute, not the shadow, my wife. And if you ever refer to her as anything less again, I will destroy you so thoroughly you'll spend the rest of your life wishing you'd stayed in Paris. Vivienne's eyes widen. You're in love with her. The accusation hangs in the air. I should deny it. I should redirect to business, to practicality, to anything but emotions I've spent my whole life avoiding. Instead, I hear myself say yes. The word reverberates through the office, through me. Yes. I'm in love with Ren. Not because she's convenient or suitable or from the right family. Not because she saved me from the embarrassment of a runaway bride. Not even because she's beautiful or intelligent or brave, though she's all of those things. I love her because she's real. Because she looks at me and sees more than my bank account or my power. Because she challenges me, surprises me, makes me want to be more than just a ruthless businessman. Because when she says my name, it sounds like a promise, like I matter to someone, not for what I can do, but for who I am. You're making a mistake, Vivienne says, but her voice wavers. The only mistake I made was not realizing it sooner. I turn back to face her. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to take the settlement I already offered. You're going to go back to Paris. And you're never going to contact me, Ren, or anyone in the Ashford family again. And if I refuse, if I file a lawsuit, contest the marriage, make this public, Then I release the evidence I have of your affair with Julian during our engagement. The photos, the messages, the hotel records. I make sure every society page in New York knows you ran away from your wedding to be with another man. I let her see the steel in my expression. Your reputation will be destroyed. No one will hire Julian after I'm done making calls. And that settlement? Gone. You'll have nothing. She pales. You wouldn't. Try me. We stare at each other across my desk. Finally, she looks away. Fine. She picks up her purse. Keep your substitute wife. I hope she's worth losing everything for. She is, I say without hesitation. She's worth more than you'll ever understand. After she leaves, I sit at my desk for a long moment, my heart pounding. I love Ren. I'm in love with my wife. The realization should terrify me. Love is vulnerability. It's giving someone the power to destroy you. It's everything I've avoided my entire adult life. But instead of fear, I feel certainty. This is right. She is right. We are right. I grab my coat and leave the office, ignoring my assistant's protests about the afternoon meetings I'm skipping. There's only one thing that matters right now. Getting home to my wife. Telling her the truth. The penthouse is quiet when I arrive. Mrs. Chen tells me Ren is in the library. I find her curled up in one of the leather chairs by the window, reading. The afternoon sun turns her auburn hair to fire, and she's so beautiful it makes my chest ache. She looks up when I enter, surprise flashing across her face. Cassian, you're home early. Is everything? I cross the room and pull her to her feet, kissing her before she can finish the question. She makes a surprised sound, then melts into me, her hands fisting in my shirt. When I finally pull back, we're both breathing hard. What was that for? She asks, her eyes searching mine. Vivienne came to my office today. Fear flashes across her face. What? Why? She wanted to renegotiate, annul our marriage, marry me herself, pretend the last few months never happened. I keep my hands on her waist, anchoring her to me. I told her no. You did? Relief floods her expression. Thank God. I thought. I told her I love you. Ren goes very still. What? I told her I love you, and then I realized I'd never told you. I cup her face, making sure she's looking at me. I love you, Ren. Not because you're convenient or suitable or from the right family. Not because you're playing a role or fulfilling a contract. I love you because you're you. Tears spill down her cheeks. Cassian, I love the way you catalog my art collection like each piece is a treasure. I love how you leave coffee mugs around the penthouse, even though we have staff to handle that. I love that you're terrible at lying and brave enough to tell the truth anyway. I love that you see me, really see me, and choose me despite all my flaws. You don't have flaws, she says through tears. You're perfect. I'm cold and controlling and emotionally stunted. I wipe away her tears with my thumbs. But you make me want to be better. You make me believe I can be more than just a businessman playing at life. You make me feel alive. I love you too. She's crying and laughing at the same time. I told you before, but I need to say it again. I love you so much it terrifies me. Good. I kiss her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. We can be terrified together. Is this real? She whispers. Tell me this is real and not some dream I'm going to wake up from. It's real. I pull back to look at her, to let her see everything I feel reflected in my eyes. You're my wife. Not Vivienne's replacement, not a substitute. My wife. The woman I chose, the woman I love, the only one who matters. She launches herself at me, and I catch her, holding her tight while she cries into my shoulder. Happy tears this time, relief and joy and disbelief all mixed together. Say it again, she demands through her tears. I love you, Ren Vale. Again. I love you. I'm never going to get tired of hearing that, she says, pulling back to look at me. Her eyes are red, her makeup smeared, her hair a mess. She's never been more beautiful. Good, because I plan on saying it every day for the rest of our lives. The rest of our lives, she echoes. That's a long time. Not long enough. I kiss her again, slow and deep, pouring everything I feel into the contact. When we finally break apart, we're both shaking. Take me to bed, she whispers. I need. I know. I lift her in my arms, carrying her out of the library and down the hall to our bedroom. I need it too. We make love in the afternoon sunlight, and it's different from every other time. No performance, no holding back, no walls between us. Just us, completely open, completely honest, completely in love. After, we lie tangled together, her head on my chest, my fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. What happens now? She asks quietly. What do you mean? We have this. We love each other. But we still have to maintain the public fiction that I'm Vivienne. We still have to perform for the world. She props herself up to look at me. How long do we have to keep pretending? I've been thinking about this. The amended legal documents list her as Wren now, but socially, professionally, she's still introduced as Vivienne to anyone who knew the original arrangement. We could stop, I say slowly. We could go public with the truth, explain what happened, deal with the fallout, start fresh with complete honesty. Your reputation. I don't care about my reputation, and I realize it's true. I spent decades building an image of being untouchable, always in control, never making mistakes. But Wren is worth more than that carefully crafted facade. I care about you, about us, about building a real life instead of maintaining a performance. What would we say? How would we explain? The truth. Vivienne ran away. You stepped in to save your family. I discovered the deception and chose to keep you anyway. We fell in love. I brush a strand of hair from her face. It's not complicated. We just stopped lying about it. People will judge us. Let them. I pull her closer. We'll face it together. No more secrets. No more pretending. Just us, being honest about who we are and what we want. And what do we want? She asks. Each other. I kiss her temple. Everything else is negotiable. She's quiet for a moment, considering. Then she smiles. That devastating, genuine smile that still takes my breath away. Okay, she says. Let's do it. Let's tell the truth. You're sure? I'm sure. She sits up, determination in her eyes. I'm tired of being Vivienne. I want to be Wren. You're Wren. The real me, with no apologies and no substitutions. Pride swells in my chest. This is the woman I fell in love with, brave and honest, and refusing to hide anymore. Then we'll do it. I pull her back down into my arms. We'll release a statement, explain the situation, deal with whatever comes. Together, she says. Together, I agree. And lying there in the afternoon light, holding the woman I love, I realize something profound. For years, I thought power came from control, from keeping people at a distance, maintaining walls, never showing weakness. But real power, the kind that matters, comes from this. From choosing someone and being chosen in return. From love that's strong enough to face the truth. From building something real instead of maintaining something perfect. Wren is my weakness. But she's also my strength. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Cassian? She murmurs against my chest. Thank you. For what? For seeing me, for choosing me, for loving me even when I didn't think I was worth loving. She looks up at me, her hazel eyes bright with emotion. For making me believe I'm more than just the shadow someone left behind. You were never a shadow, I say fiercely. You're the light, Wren. The only real thing in my life. Don't ever forget that. She kisses me, soft and sweet and full of promise. And I kiss her back, sealing this vow we're making to each other. Not the vow we made at the altar, full of lies and pretense. But this one, the real one. To love each other honestly. To face the world together. To build a life that's messy and complicated and completely perfectly ours. No more substitutes. No more performances. Just us. Cassian and Ren. Husband and wife. Partners. Lovers. Home. And as the sun sets over Manhattan, painting our bedroom in shades of gold and rose, I hold my wife and think about the future we're going to build. It won't be easy. There will be scandals and judgment and people who think we made a mistake. But we'll face it together. And that makes all the difference. Because this, what we have, what we've built from broken pieces and honest choices, this is worth fighting for. Worth everything. I love you, I whisper into her hair. I love you too, she whispers back. And in that moment, I know with absolute certainty, choosing Ren was the best decision I ever made. Not because it was smart or strategic or good for business, but because it was right. Because she's right. Because we're right. And that's all that matters. Epilogue, the real vow. 6 months later, Ren. The art gallery opening is everything I dreamed of and nothing like I expected. The Vale Gallery, my gallery, occupies the ground floor of a converted warehouse in Chelsea. Floor-to-ceiling windows let in natural light that bathes the carefully curated collection in warmth. The pieces are a mix of contemporary and classical, established artists and emerging talents, all selected because they moved me, challenged me, made me see the world differently. This is mine, not borrowed, not pretending, not living in someone else's shadow. Mine. You look terrified, Eleanor says, appearing at my elbow with 2 glasses of champagne. Drink this, it'll help. I'm not terrified. I take the glass anyway. I'm just terrified, she repeats with a grin. It's okay. First gallery opening, important people everywhere, your name on everything. I'd be terrified too. Ren Ashford Vale. I test the name, still getting used to seeing it on the gallery placard, on the press releases, on the invitation to tonight's opening. It still sounds strange. It sounds right. Eleanor clinks her glass against mine. And you look beautiful, by the way. That dress is perfect. I look down at the emerald green silk. Simple, elegant, chosen because I loved it, not because it's what Vivienne would wear. My hair is down in loose waves. Minimal makeup. No performance, just me. Thank you for being here, I say. For everything. You didn't have to help with all of this. Please, someone had to make sure my brother didn't turn this into a corporate merger. She laughs. Besides, you're family now. The real kind, not just the legal kind. Family. The word still makes my chest warm. After months of my own family barely acknowledging the scandal, my father silent, my mother distant, both of them processing the public revelation that their golden daughter ran away and their shadow daughter saved them, having Eleanor claim me as family means everything. The gallery is filling up, critics, collectors, society, people who came because Cassian Vale's wife is making her debut. Some are here out of curiosity, some out of genuine interest. I try not to care which is which. Then I see him. Cassian stands near the entrance, his eyes scanning the crowd until they find me. Even across the room, the impact of his gaze is physical. He's in a charcoal suit, no tie, looking devastating and dangerous, and mine. He smiles, a real smile, the kind he only gives me, and starts making his way through the crowd toward me. I'll leave you two alone, Eleanor says, squeezing my hand. Go be disgustingly in love, where everyone can see. She disappears into the crowd, and then Cassian is there, pulling me into his arms like we're alone instead of surrounded by 100 people. You're supposed to be mingling, I say, but I'm smiling. I am mingling. With my wife. He kisses my temple. You did it. This is incredible, Ren. We did it. I look around the gallery, at the dream I'd given up on, now real and solid in mine. You're the one who found this space, who convinced me to stop playing it safe. I just gave you the resources. The vision was all yours. His hand finds the small of my back, that possessive gesture I've come to crave. I'm so proud of you. The words make my throat tight. Say it again. I'm proud of you. He leans down, his lips brushing my ear. I love you. You're brilliant. And watching you shine like this is the best thing I've ever witnessed. You're going to make me cry, I whisper, and I have to give a speech in 20 minutes. Then I'll stop. But he doesn't move away. Actually, I need to tell you something first. My heart skips. What? The board approved the acquisition. He's trying to sound casual, but I can hear the excitement underneath. Vale Enterprises is officially expanding into sustainable architecture. We're going to build things that last, that matter, just like you said I should. Joy floods through me. After months of Cassian secretly returning to his first love, designing buildings instead of just buying them, the board finally approved his proposal to create a new division focused on sustainable, beautiful architecture. Cassian, that's amazing! I throw my arms around his neck, forgetting we're in public, forgetting anything except how proud I am of him. You're going to design again. Really design. We're going to design, he pulls back to look at me. I want you to consult on the aesthetic elements. Art integration, public spaces, beauty balanced with function. This is our project. Together. Together. The word that defines us now. I would love that, I breathe. He kisses me then, deep and claiming, and I hear someone in the crowd whistle. We break apart, both of us grinning like idiots. We're causing a scene, I say. Good. His eyes are warm. Let them see how much I love my wife. My wife. Not Vivienne, not the substitute. Me. It's been 6 months since we went public with the truth. 6 months since we held a press conference and explained everything. Vivienne running away, me taking her place, Cassian discovering the deception and choosing to keep me anyway. We fell in love, we made it real, and we refused to apologize for it. The fallout was brutal at first. Society pages had a field day. Some of Cassian's business associates called for his resignation, claiming he'd lost his edge. My father still won't speak to me, furious that I exposed the family's desperate situation. But we weathered it. Together. And on the other side, we found something better than reputation, or status, or approval. We found us. Real and honest and free. Speech time, Cassian murmurs, glancing at his watch. Ready? No, I take a deep breath, but I'll do it anyway. He leads me to the small platform at the center of the gallery. The crowd quiets, turning to face us. So many eyes. So much judgment and curiosity and expectation. I used to be terrified of being seen. Now I'm choosing it. Thank you all for coming, I begin, my voice only shaking slightly. 6 months ago, I didn't think I'd be standing here. I didn't think I deserved this, a gallery with my name on it, a chance to share art I love with people who might love it too. I spent most of my life believing I was just the shadow someone else left behind. I find Cassian's eyes in the crowd. He's watching me with such intensity, such pride, such love that I feel invincible. But I learned something important, I continue. We're not defined by other people's expectations. We're not limited by the roles we're forced into. We can choose who we want to be, what we want to build, how we want to live. And if we're brave enough to be honest about it, about who we really are, we might find something better than we ever imagined. The crowd is silent, listening. This gallery is my truth. Every piece here was chosen because it spoke to me, challenged me, made me see beauty in unexpected places. I hope it does the same for you. I raise my champagne glass. Thank you for being here to share it with me. Applause fills the gallery, genuine and warm. People press forward to shake my hand, to compliment the collection, to ask about specific pieces. I answer their questions, accept their praise, and slowly feel the last of my fear dissolve. I'm not pretending anymore. I'm just being Ren. And it's enough, Cassian. I watch my wife work the crowd with growing pride. This is Ren in her element, talking about art, sharing her passion, lighting up when someone really understands a piece she loves. She's radiant, confident, completely herself. This is what I almost gave up. If I'd annulled the marriage, if I'd chosen reputation over truth, if I'd let fear win, I would have lost this, her. The thought makes me cold. "She's incredible," a voice says beside me. I turn to find one of my board members, Charles Whitmore, who fought hardest against the architecture division approval. "Yes, she is," I say carefully. "I owe you an apology." Charles takes a sip of his champagne. "When you told us the truth about the marriage, about choosing to keep her despite the deception, I thought you'd lost your mind, thought you were letting emotion cloud your judgment. And now? Now I see a man who's happier, more focused, and frankly, more innovative than he's been in years." Charles gestures to the gallery. "You're taking risks again. Real risks, not just calculated business moves. The architecture division, this gallery, going public with your personal life, these are bold choices." "They're the right choices," I say firmly. "I'm starting to think you're right." He extends his hand. "Welcome back, Cassian. We missed the version of you that actually gave a damn about something." We shake, and he moves away into the crowd. I stand there for a moment, processing. He's right. I did give a damn again. Because of her. Ren changed everything. She made me want to build instead of just acquire. She made me believe there's more to success than power and control. She made me remember the boy who wanted to create beautiful things, before life taught him that beauty was a luxury he couldn't afford. She gave me myself back, and I love her more than I thought possible to love another person. "You look contemplative," Eleanor appears at my side. "Everything okay?" "Everything's perfect, and I mean it." "Good, because your wife is about to be ambushed by the Times art critic, and she might need moral support." I'm already moving before Eleanor finishes speaking, cutting through the crowd to reach Ren's side. She's talking to a severe-looking woman with a notepad, and I can see the tension in her shoulders. "Darling," I say, sliding my arm around her waist. "There you are." The relief in her eyes is immediate. "Cassian, this is Margaret Chen from the Times. She was just asking about my curatorial philosophy." "Which is brilliant, I'm sure," I say smoothly. "My wife has an extraordinary eye for emerging talent. Half the artists in this show will be household names in 5 years. Mark my words." Margaret Chen's severe expression softens slightly. "You're very supportive of your wife's venture, Mr. Vale." "It's not a venture, it's a calling." I pull Ren closer. "And yes, I support it completely. Some things are more important than profit margins." That's a surprising position from someone with your reputation. My reputation needed updating. I look at Ren, letting her see everything I feel. I'm more than just a corporate raider now. I'm a husband, a partner, a man lucky enough to be married to someone who makes me want to be better. Ren's eyes fill with tears, and she leans into me. Margaret Chen makes a note. "That's quite a statement." "It's the truth." I turn back to her. "Print it. I don't care who knows." After the critic moves away, Ren looks up at me. "You didn't have to say all that." "Yes, I did." I wipe away the tears sliding down her cheek. "You've spent too long being invisible. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure everyone knows how extraordinary you are." "I love you," she whispers. "I love you too." I kiss her forehead. "Now finish working this crowd. You have patrons to charm and art to sell." She laughs, that bright, genuine sound that never fails to warm my chest, and disappears back into the crowd. I watch her go, this woman who was never supposed to be mine, and think about the chain of events that led us here. Vivienne running away. The Ashford family desperate. Ren agreeing to a substitution that terrified her. Me discovering the truth and choosing to keep her anyway. Every decision, every choice, every moment of fear and courage, it all led to this. To us. To love I didn't know I was capable of feeling. To a life that's real instead of performed. My phone buzzes. A message from my assistant, Vivienne Ashford's lawyer, requesting a meeting. Regarding the settlement. I delete it without responding. Vivienne made her choice when she ran away, and then again when she tried to come back and reclaim what she'd forfeited. She's living in Paris now, engaged to Julian, funded by the generous settlement I gave her on the condition she never contacts us again. She's the past. Ren is my future. The evening winds down. The gallery sold 6 pieces, got interest in a dozen more, and earned rave reviews from the critics who attended. By the time we lock up and head to the car, Ren is exhausted but glowing. "I can't believe it's real," she says in the car, leaning against my shoulder. "My gallery. My opening. People actually came." "People will always come when you offer them something real." I kiss the top of her head. "You gave them that tonight. Authenticity. Passion. Beauty." "We make a good team," she murmurs. "The best." I pull her closer. "You and me against the world." I like the sound of that. We ride in comfortable silence, her hand in mine, the city lights streaming past the windows. When we get home to the penthouse, our home now, not just mine, we shed our formal clothes and end up in bed, wrapped around each other. "Cassian?" Ren's voice is soft in the darkness. If you could go back and change it, if Vivienne had shown up at the wedding instead of running away, would you?" I think about it seriously. "No." "Really?" She props herself up to look at me. "You'd choose all the scandal and difficulty and—" "I'd choose you." I pull her back down. "Every time. In every version of events, I'd choose you. Even knowing what it cost you?" "It didn't cost me anything." I stroke her hair, feeling the silky strands slip through my fingers. "It gave me everything. You gave me everything." She's quiet for a moment. "Then, I used to think I was just the substitute, the backup plan, the one who only mattered because the real choice wasn't available. And now? Now I know I was always the right choice, not because Vivienne ran away, because I'm me." She looks up at me, her hazel eyes catching the moonlight. "And you chose me, not for my family, or my connections, or what I could give you, just for me." "Just for you," I echo, "always for you." We make love slowly, tenderly, two people who've learned to trust each other completely. And after, as Ren falls asleep in my arms, I lie awake thinking about the future we're building, the architecture projects I'll design, the gallery shows Ren will curate, the life we'll create together, piece by piece, choice by choice. No more substitutes. No more shadows. Just us, building something real. And as I drift off to sleep, my wife safe in my arms, I think about that first moment at the altar. When I looked at the woman in the wedding dress and knew something was wrong. When I should have stopped the ceremony, demanded answers, protected myself from the deception. Thank God I didn't. Thank God for Vivienne running away. Thank God for desperate families and last-minute substitutions and a woman brave enough to take her sister's place. Thank God for Ren, my wife, my love, my home, the substitute who became everything. Ren, 1 year later. The Hamptons estate has never looked more beautiful. We're standing on the beach where Cassian first told me he was falling for me, but this time we're not alone. Eleanor is here, along with a small group of close friends and Cassian's business partners who've become genuine allies, and a minister holding a book of vows. "Are you sure about this?" I ask Cassian quietly. "We're already married. Legally, officially, publicly. We need this." He takes my hands, his gray eyes warm. "The first wedding wasn't ours. It was Vivienne's wedding with you standing in. I want us to have our own, real vows, real promises. Our choice." Tears blur my vision. "Okay." The minister begins. "We're gathered here today to witness Cassian and Ren renew their commitment to each other, not as a business arrangement, not as a substitute for what was supposed to be, but as two people who chose each other, fought for each other, and built a love worth celebrating." Cassian squeezes my hands. "Cassian, do you have vows to share?" He nods, his eyes never leaving mine. "Ren, 1.5 years ago, I thought I knew what I wanted. Power, success, a suitable wife to make me look respectable. I thought I had it all figured out." He smiles. "Then you walked down the aisle in your sister's dress, terrified and brave, and everything changed. You taught me that real strength isn't about control, it's about vulnerability. Real success isn't about what you acquire, it's about what you build. And real love isn't about finding someone perfect, It's about choosing someone real and building perfection together. His voice cracked slightly. I choose you, Ren, not as a substitute, not as a second choice, as my first choice, my only choice, my everything. I love you more than I thought possible to love another person. And I promise to spend the rest of my life showing you that you were always worth choosing. I'm crying now, tears streaming down my face. God, Cassian. Your turn, he says gently. I take a shaky breath. I spent my whole life being invisible, the shadow, the backup, the one who only mattered when the favorite wasn't available. When my father asked me to take Vivienne's place, I thought it was just more of the same, being used because I was convenient, not because I mattered. I squeeze his hands. But you saw me, really saw me. You could have annulled the marriage, could have sent me away, could have chosen anger over understanding. Instead, you chose me. You made me believe I was worth seeing, worth keeping, worth loving. You gave me myself back, Cassian. You made me brave enough to step out of the shadows and into the light. I smile through my tears. I love you. I choose you. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Every day. For the rest of my life. You're my home. You may now kiss, the minister says, smiling. Cassian pulls me into his arms and kisses me, deep and claiming and full of promise. The small crowd cheers, but I barely hear them. All I can feel is this: his arms around me, his love surrounding me, our future stretching out before us, bright and beautiful and ours. When we finally break apart, he rests his forehead against mine. Hello, wife, he murmurs. Hello, husband. Ren Vale. He says my name like a prayer. My Ren. Finally. Finally, I echo. And standing there on the beach with the sun setting over the water, surrounded by people who love us, I realize something. I'm not the substitute anymore. I'm not the shadow. I'm not the one who only mattered because someone else ran away. I'm Ren Vale, Cassian's wife, gallery owner, art curator, consultant, partner, love, chosen, seen, home. And that's more than enough. It's everything. The end.